The story begins with a game called Moon and the Secret Cage. It's a dating simulator in which the player builds romantic relationships with other characters, trying to achieve a happy ending. She was known for her complexity, and now the girl wonders if she has become too engrossed in this world. On the day she completed the game's story, she seemed to fall into an eternal sleep, but then was reborn. Now she is Remelian, the daughter of Luna, the game's protagonist, and a new life reveals its secrets to her. The rebirth occurred after the main storyline had concluded, meaning that it was impossible to change the original narrative. Moreover, her mother was imprisoned by order of her father and the villains of history, King Varys of the Elohix Kingdom, and the girl herself ended up in a world with an unfavorable outcome. At this point, the young lady's mother turns to her daughter and asks if she wants to look at the stars. She also says that elves can read the stars, predicting events and observing the world. The little girl asks in surprise if this is possible, and the woman confirms that it is true. For example, you can predict the weather using the stars, after which the girl enthusiastically declares that she also wants to learn this. The woman assures her that she will definitely master this skill, and the girl, smiling, feels the warmth of her mother's hand, but suddenly she notices marks of beatings on her hands and realizes that Varys has hurt her again. The young lady thinks sadly of her mother, realizing that she cannot allow her to suffer, and decides that they must flee the lands of Varys. Luna is an elf who can use ancient magic, and among her spells is teleportation. However, in this story with a bad ending, when she tried to use magic to escape, she ran out of mana and was captured. While in other storylines she might have strengthened her powers, Varys did everything to deny her the chance of salvation. The little girl realizes that as a half-elf, she can use even a small portion of her powers to support the teleportation spell. The girl makes a promise to always protect her mother, even if it leads to tragic consequences. 3 years later, a woman knocks on the door of a house, asking if anyone is inside. Soon someone opens the door and says that here she is, the main character, to which the woman looks at the girl with relief. The main character greets Mrs. Mary, who notices the books in the girl's hands and asks if she is studying. The woman hands her some apples and tea for the girl to take home. The girl thanks her for her concern. She says she will show this to her mother when she returns, but the woman asks her to wait a little. The little girl curiously asks what happened, and her interlocutor explains that the city is looking for someone with a large reward. They are looking for a mother and daughter, but it is clearly not them. They have black hair, and the wanted ones are blondes. They also say the mother is incredibly beautiful, and the girl's mother is also attractive. The girl simply smiles and agrees. The woman leaves, asking to be informed if the girl notices anything important, as there is a reward for this, and the little girl agrees. Returning to the room, the girl notices her hair color beginning to change. She realizes the magic may be uncovered and needs to leave immediately. I need to hide, because Mom will be back soon. And indeed, a short time later she returns home. The main character rushes to her mother and hugs her tightly, and the woman, slightly surprised, asks what happened. The little girl asks why she is so late, and her mother offers her something to eat, to which the girl replies that she is not hungry. She says that someone in town is looking for their mother, as Mrs. Mary said, and they need to run while there is still time. The girl is convinced that it is necessary to act quickly, and her mother agrees with her. The woman reminds them to remain calm and patient while the teleportation is being prepared and the girl collects all of their things. After some time, they begin to use teleportation magic. But at that moment, someone unexpectedly knocks on their house. The young lady's mother assures them that they are ready, but the man knocks again, demanding that they be given at least a minute. One of his comrades notices that they don't seem to be going to open it, and says that the door can be broken down if necessary. The little girl asks how much time is left before the spell, to which she receives the answer 15 minutes if she concentrates. Then she turns to her mother, explaining that she'll buy herself some time so she should follow her while she concentrates on the spell. The woman agrees. At this moment they exit through the back entrance, but one of the knights notices this and cries out in surprise. The commander orders that the girl can be put into eternal sleep, but the woman must not be allowed to escape under any circumstances. At this moment, the main character is thinking about what they are talking about and whether she really has any meaning for Varys. The baby begins to use magic, and the soldiers feel the effects of pepper spray, experiencing severe discomfort. The girl notes that this is excellent, and a little more time might help them. One of the knights, astonished, asks if this is magic. He claims that only 2 can play such a game and orders one of the knights to get ready, because the next target is this girl. But Remillion only warns them to try, and begins using magic again. The ground around the knights begins to pull them in, and one of them cries out that he cannot move. Meanwhile, the girl announces that she's finally using her plant magic. One of the knights panics and asks what to do now, as they're trapped, and Remillion is leaving. As the young lady runs away with her mother, she asks how much time is left, and her mother replies that it is 3 minutes. The little girl asks Remillion to forgive her, but the girl calms her down, saying that her mother shouldn't worry because she's only happy to help. They will find happiness, and in a few minutes they will be able to live long and peacefully. The little girl smiles and declares that she will protect her mother, and one of the knights asks the other if he is ready for battle. He answers in the affirmative, and the man orders to get rid of this girl. The knight begins to use magic, which hits Remillion right in front of her. The girl is shocked, wondering if there is a magician among them, and falls under the influence of the force. Lying on the ground, she ponders the question of whether she would choose the same parents if she were born again. Remillion understands the answer would be unequivocal. She would always consider herself her mother's daughter. The woman, in shock, asks her daughter to wake up. She apologizes and asks for forgiveness for everything, and Remillion mentally replies that everything is fine and she is happy. The baby feels this feeling and understands that it is time to say goodbye to her mother. The woman tearfully begs her daughter not to leave her, places the baby on the floor, and gets up. She tells Remillion not to worry, as she will do everything to save her. After a short while, the woman is already creating a magic circle, and one of the knights sees that she is protecting her mother and screams for her to stop. But she pays no attention to the men and continues the spell, determined not to let Remillion fall into eternal sleep, even if it means giving up your life. Meanwhile, the baby is still lying on the floor. A leaf lands on the girl's forehead, and she is surprised, thinking that this golden glow is incredibly beautiful. Suddenly, she remembers the magical blow, but realizes that she has not fallen into eternal sleep. The girl is perplexed as to whether it was a dream and tries to understand where her mother is and whether she was able to heal her. The little girl also does not see the knights and thinks that everything has disappeared thanks to magic. She realizes that no one teleported and the village must be somewhere nearby. As she gets closer, she is amazed. It is the village of Rothby, almost like new, and Remillion walks forward until she suddenly collides with someone. She falls to the floor, and the woman inquires about Leona's condition and notes that the girl is clearly not from around here. The woman asks where the parents are, and the main character watches her in surprise. She wonders if this is Mrs. Mary. She must be in her 50s, but she looks incredibly young. The woman hands the girl an apple, noticing that she is hungry and asking if she would like something to eat. She tells that this is the first harvest in the village, the apple is delicious, and the little girl begins to understand that her guesses are correct. The girl asks what year it is, and the woman replies that it is 1840. The main character realizes that this is 20 years ago, and that she is supposed to be born in 12 years. Finding herself in the past, as evening falls, Mary takes the little girl to her room, offering her a rest after a long day. The baby thanks the woman, but when she enters the room, she hears others discussing whose child it is. One of the women says she doesn't know, and notes that the girl is in shock from the loss of her mother and remembers almost nothing. The little girl looks sadly out the window, remembering her mother's words that she would not allow her to fall into eternal sleep, even if it cost her her life. Now the girl cannot hold back her tears, realizing that her mother sacrificed herself for her. But then she is suddenly amazed and realizes that this year her mother is still alive, and the game called Moon and the Secret Cage started in 1845, which means there are still 5 whole years left until the end. And hope arises that she will be able to change her terrible fate. The little girl understands that she has a chance to make her mother happy, because she already knows how events will unfold. Suddenly, the girl notices a glow and wonders if it is golden or just moonlight reflecting on the surface. She hears words that she is the one who can put an end to this terrible virus, and thinks that perhaps this is that very light. The little girl is at a loss to understand whether all this is happening because of her desire to change the future. She wonders what would happen if a person traveled back in time and put their parents into eternal sleep. The girl understands that in this case, her future, in which she was born, will disappear, which means she will cease to exist. If she changes the past, her own existence could be erased. And once again, her mother's words come to mind. She promised not to let her fall into eternal sleep, even if it cost her her life. Now the girl understands that her mother sacrificed her life for her, and if not for this, she would already be dead. Therefore, the most important thing for her now is to preserve her happiness, and she doesn't care what happens to her, because her love for her mother is the strongest, and she wants to meet her again. Romillion realizes that there is only one way to defeat Varys and save his mother, to face him face to face. After this, the little girl opens a huge gate and enters the room where the worker sits. He is a little surprised, greets her, then falls silent, and a moment later, in shock, he cries out, asking how she was able to open the door. After all, it's protected by a magical seal, and it was opened by a little girl. The little girl greets him and introduces herself as Romillion. She explains that she has come to see the great master of this building. The man asks if she has an appointment. The girl replies that she's willing to wait if necessary, but he insists that the meeting must be scheduled in advance, and the wait takes a whole year. At that moment, someone orders them to get ready, as an important person is approaching. The man turns to the little girl and tells her that she should write her name on the list, but the girl immediately turns around and uses magic. In shock, he asks if it is a magical symbol and if she is going to attack, after which he uses magic himself. With her help, he creates a rope and shouts for the girl to stop immediately. He wonders who she is since she uses magic, and the girl's hair begins to change color. The man wonders if this is a disguise, and at that moment, someone else enters the room, asking what happened. He apologizes to the great master and tries to explain something. But the main character interrupts him and declares that she came to talk to the master. She also introduces herself as an elf. The brunette the girl addresses is a great master and archmage named Cage Rel. The little girl promises that her visit will be worth his while. The people around are surprised and argue about whether this could be an elf. The guy at the reception asks the girl if she knows that lying is bad and if she thinks His Excellency will believe her words. At this time, someone comes up and admires the child, asking if they share this impression. This man is the chief assistant of an archmage named Vidian Kleiselmer. Cage turns to the assistant, saying that's enough, and everyone falls silent. But Vidian, smiling, asks what to do with the girl now, to which Cage replies that she should pass. He will interrogate her himself after the meeting. After this, the assistant invites the baby to follow him. The girl agrees, thinking about the word interrogation, but internally decides that she doesn't care, because her main thing is to save her mother. She knows that her mother deserves a better future. The little girl walks into the living room and is slightly surprised, expecting to be locked in. The blonde man asks permission to introduce himself. After this, he declares that he is the chief assistant of the archmage named Vidian Kleiselmer and is fully prepared to provide her with support. The little girl greets him with a smile, giving him both his first and last name. The man says they can just call him Vidian. The baby decides to name him Mr. Vidian, to which he smiles and clarifies that just the name is enough. It doesn't matter much though, as she'll get used to it over time. The little girl smiles and says her name is Romillion. The guy is touched by her smile and says with admiration what a wonderful name she has. He adds that since they have some free time, if Lady Romillion doesn't mind, they could tidy her up and dress her up a bit for her meeting with the Grand Master. The little girl looks at herself and asks in surprise if she is really that dirty, to which the guy replies that no, everything is fine. The girl continues to examine herself and notices that the journey here must have been too long. Vidian realizes she misunderstood him. He reassures that this is not at all necessary if the baby feels well. The girl assures that everything is fine and she will wash herself, and the deputy archmage thinks to himself that the main thing is that she is not upset. He agrees and offers to call an assistant to them, if the lady allows. Vidian runs his finger through the air using magic, and a girl appears in front of them. Her name is Quer. The main character thinks about how beautiful she is and wonders if she's a robot. Vidian explains that this is his friend Quer, to which the girl denies that she is a robot. The blonde is surprised by her words and feels internal pain from this refusal. The girl calmly says that if you feel any pain, you need to get examined at the medical center on the 25th floor. The main character observes the whole situation, and Vidian, noticing her gaze, asks for forgiveness. He explains that from now on, Claire will be assisting her and assures her that she's in good hands. The robot girl adds that it's even better than having Vidian help her himself. The guy asks if she's serious. At that moment, a message comes in, and Vidian says that it's time for him to leave, but they will meet again. The protagonist watches him leave, and Claire asks if she needs a bath. The girl replies that she can handle it herself, but the woman asks if everything is okay with her service. The little girl assures that everything is fine because she is an uninvited guest. Both are too kind to her, and she doesn't know how to react. The robot girl asks if she's an intruder. The little girl reminds that she is a guest of the Archmage, who invited her to talk. Claire explains that Vidian is simply communicating this way, and if he had considered her a trespasser, he would have turned her over to the knights. Lady Romillion is an honored guest. The protagonist is relieved. The robot adds that serving the Grand Master's guests is her usual job. She asks the lady not to worry and to take the service as granted. The protagonist thanks her and agrees. Claire emphasizes that he is able to perform his duties much better than Vidian. The main character thinks this girl is a robot created by Vidian. Not all robots look human. Their appearance depends on the mage who created them. Creating such a complex robot, indistinguishable from a human, requires advanced magic. Claire's existence proves the incredible power of the building's mages. In this world, there are 5 types of magic: elemental, dimensional, creation magic, primordial, and special. Vidian seems to possess creation magic. The girl wonders what gift Romillion possesses herself. After a while, she dares to ask if she can wear the offered garment, and the robot confirms that it is possible, since that is precisely why she brought the outfit. The main character, looking at the dress, wonders if it is too pretentious for a simple guest. Claire regretfully notes that the dress wasn't custom-made, but promises that next time it will be created specifically for Romillion. The girl is surprised and replies that that's more than enough. At that moment, the robot receives a notification and reports that it looks like some kind of situation has arisen. So Claire will have to leave the lady for a while, to which Romillion agrees. As she leaves, Claire says that another magician might come to see her and asks for a pass to be given to him so that he can carry it with him. Romillion nods, then remains alone in the room. She sits down on the sofa, but soon hears a knock on the door. A man enters the room and states that he is from the elementary lab and brings the pass the girl asked for. He looks around the room and, looking at Romillion, asks if this is the naughty girl who dared to address the Great Master. The girl recognizes him as Glare Sanros, the villain who once molested her mother. The man mockingly asks if Romillion was serious about this, calling her a loser, and looks around for the doll, which is no longer there, as she has other things to do. After this, he asks the girl's name, to which she replies, Romillion. When the man asks her last name, she replies that she doesn't have one. He's surprised that such a nobody dares show up here. Romillion realizes that Glare is still the same rotten man, and decides to find out his name. The man objects that he is not an old man, after which the girl mockingly suggests calling him old man. This makes him furious, but he tries not to attach much importance to the words. He declares his name to be Glare Sonros, and demands that Romillion remember it. The girl watches with interest as one word infuriates him. She thinks that the man is overestimating himself and believes that he is capable of exposing her as a fraud, although he himself was spreading rumors about her mother. Romillion understands that now all the accusations fall on her, although he himself was the source of the rumors. The man declares that elves are beautiful creatures, but she is an exception. The girl thinks to herself what an idiot and a complete loser he is. His attitude towards women turns out to be even worse than she could have imagined, and Romillion understands why her mother had to deal with him. Besides, he is reckless and stays here only thanks to his connections. The girl understands that Glare is the rotten apple of this building, and if she wins Cage's trust, he will immediately lose his power. After a while, a robot enters the room and apologizes for being late, saying that the Great Master will be free soon. Romillion says there's no need to rush, but the robot clarifies that she was gone for exactly 14 minutes and 27 seconds, apologizing for the delay. The girl replies that everything is fine. The robot asks if the lady needs anything, or perhaps some tea. Remillion refuses, thanks, but asks if he can ask a question. The woman agrees to answer all the questions, and the girl asks her own. She asks who the Archmage is. Claire considers this, then notes that he has a nasty personality. He even calls such a beautiful robot as her a useless doll. Remillion understands that if even an emotionless robot says that, things are much worse than they seem. Claire reassures Lady Remillion that she needn't worry, and all her wishes will be fulfilled. The girl points out that she didn't ask for anything. The blonde lady explains that it is highly likely that Remillion has come to become the Archmage's apprentice. The girl denies this, but the woman assures her that after a few training sessions, the Archmage will see her potential. Remillion repeats that she came for something completely different. At this moment, a man enters the room and the girl immediately notices him. The blonde-haired youth addresses Lady Remillion and reminds her of his identity. He is Vidian. The girl confirms she remembers him, giving his full name, Vidian Clyelmer. The boy is surprised and touched that she remembers. At this time, the brunette asks Vidian to be quieter. Remillion feels a strong presence from this guy and realizes that he is quite scary. The young man smiles and explains that the owner of the building, Archmage Cagerel, stands before the lady. He asked himself if he was handsome, and the main character, without hesitation, confirmed it. The blonde-haired boy noticed that she seemed to disagree, but the little girl immediately assured him that this was not the case. The robot woman explained that this was completely natural. External beauty does not mean that a person should be liked by everyone. Then the little girl looked at Cage and felt that he seemed to be angry, after which she admitted that she only imagined it that way. She added that she considered the owner the most handsome person she had ever seen, and silence fell between them. Vidian broke the silence with a laugh, noting what a relief it was, as brunettes were usually feared and he rarely used his face effectively, but today he had managed it. After this, they approached the doors, and the robot admitted that, unfortunately, he could not fully agree with Lady Remillion. The little girl wondered if she had gotten everything mixed up again. She bowed to the man, apologized, and explained that she did not mean to offend him. The brunette only asked why she was apologizing, and whether she had lied about what she was apologizing for. The main character replied that no, she was just worried that she might have offended him with her words about her appearance. The guy asked her if she was lying, and the little girl again said no. Cage stated that he did not forgive liars, and until it came to that, he would ignore her. The little girl nodded gratefully. Vidian merely exclaimed about the beauty of the handsome man, and Brad ordered his assistant to stop, took his clumsy doll, and left. Claire insisted that she was not such a clumsy doll and asked her to reconsider her words, but the man said that was exactly what he meant and suggested that they leave. He added that he was in a hurry and suggested finishing faster. Vidian said he would wait outside and wished for a productive conversation with the world's most handsome man. The man used magic, and a magic ball flew past the assistant's head, after which the door closed. The brunette turned to the young lady and asked if she had said that she was a half-breed elf. As he already noted, he does not forgive liars, especially when it comes to such serious things. The guy sat down next to her and demanded proof of her origin, noting that the similarity of her hair alone was not enough. The girl explained about Runia, the ancient language of the elves, which she had mastered. Cage asked if she was a spy from the continent, but the girl quickly denied it. The man said that he was listening to her attentively, and the little girl rejoiced inside. In her mind, she convinced herself that everything would go smoothly, and then began to use the spell. The man, seeing this, was surprised when a magic ball appeared in the girl's hands. The girl remembered being on the seashore with her mother. The little girl asked if the ocean could be so beautiful, and her mother assured her that it was even more beautiful. She was sad that this could only be shown with magic, but she reassured herself. She was glad to be near her mother, realizing that they often used magic when her mother was lonely. After the escape, the magic wore off, and a long time passed. Remillion tried to hold back her tears, realizing that now was not the right moment. The brunette admired her skill, noting that she used primordial magic rather than conventional techniques. The girl noticed his interest and wondered if this meant that he believed her. The man emphasized that, despite the possible key to Runia, this does not confirm its origin. After all, anyone could learn this language. Remillion realized that the situation was dangerous, and he could expel her. However, the man became interested and came closer, carefully examining the girl. He reminded her that she had said that her elf mother had taught her this, and the little girl had confirmed it. The man asked if she meant to say that alphas existed. Vermilion answered affirmatively, explaining that this was precisely why she had come to him, and the brunette smiled, reminding her that the owner of the building, Archmage Cage Rel, stood before the lady. She thirsts for revenge, so she asks to stay. After some time, the assistant addresses the archipelago, surprised by such harshness. The man asks what exactly he is talking about, and the pink-haired boy explains that he is talking about a condition he set for the young lady. Vidian wonders if it's possible to defeat their mage in a gem duel. He notices the girl's talent, even though she's still a novice. Brené claims that in the entire history of the archipelagos, only 2 students were able to defeat the mage and enter edifies. So if he had simply accepted this girl, the consequences would have been unpredictable. Vidian agrees that there's no arguing with that, but he wonders if it wouldn't be better to teach her gradually. The brunette replies that no, that wouldn't be appropriate. He also feels that the girl will pass the test and is capable of becoming her mentor. At this time, Quer takes the main character to her room, and she is surprised by its size. The female robot notes that Lady Vermilion deserves such a room more than anyone else. The little girl realizes that she is actually the king's daughter, but grew up in poverty. Having such a spacious room is a great joy for her. Kver promises to unpack her mistress's things. The lady thanks her, but immediately feels a rumble in her stomach. Quer notices that she was short-sighted and immediately decides to prepare food for Lady Vermilion. The girl worriedly says no need, everything is fine. The woman just asks them to wait a little, after which she hands over a book and advises him to read the rules of the duel while he waits for food. When the woman comes out, the young lady remarks that everything is fine. She is also surprised by Quer's enthusiasm and looks at the book, realizing that it is a set of rules. The first rule is that during a duel, you must break your opponent's stone. Secondly, it is forbidden to cause physical harm to the enemy, and even the lightest magic can destroy the precious stone. The girl remembers how a man asked her about the existence of elves. She replied that her mother had been imprisoned in a magical vessel, which she had heard could be found on the black market. Unfortunately, there is no precise information, and all we can do is wait. The man asked if she wanted to make a deal with the Archmage for information about the vessels. The young lady agreed and added that she wanted revenge, so she asked to be allowed to stay and train to become stronger. The man replied that he understood, and the girl wondered if this was too much to ask. She noted that Runia's knowledge might not be enough, but Cage assured that it was enough. Edife is based on traditions and rules, so a place in it must be earned through one's own efforts. Vermilion agreed, and the man said, fine. The robot brought the food and invited them to the table. A little later, the heroine comes with the gem, and Quer says she's glad the lady's pass works. The girl agrees, that's good. The pink-haired lady asks who gave her the stone. Vermilion replies that it was a man named Glaire Sanros. Quer clarifies, Senros? And adds that, in her opinion, he probably caused the lady a lot of trouble. After this, the main character only nods with slight bewilderment, and honestly admits that this is true. He insulted her tirelessly, calling her a fraud and a brat, leaving no chance for defense. The lady with pink hair responds by declaring that such behavior is unacceptable, and that this parasite must be fought. However, the main character turns to Quer and suggests that she eat first, since the feeling of hunger prevents her from concentrating. Quer then informs Lady Vermilion that the man has shown unforgivable behavior towards an esteemed guest, the Archmage, and that the host, as well as Vidian, must be made aware of this. The young lady points out that they have no proof, to which the woman agrees that it is true. Vermilion also pauses and says that everything seems justified and normal for now, but the situation is worrying. The girl wants to be the one who will take revenge on him for everything. The robot asks what exactly the lady means. The main character explains that she will challenge Glaire Sanros to a duel. The girl immediately knows who she will choose upon hearing this, and she has 3 reasons why he should be her opponent. The first is that he lacks the experience and skill to be the Mage of Ediphaeus. The second reason is that she will not feel remorse for defeating him, because he deserves it. The last and most important reason is that she has already studied his fighting style and behavior in battle. She knows his fighting style and personality, so she understands how to defeat him. Using her knowledge, she can undoubtedly win. The robot claps his hands, calling it an eye for an eye, and praising it as a great plan. The girl notes that she read about this in the manual, where the duel of gems is described as a place where pride and self-love reign. The woman agrees, adding that it is even more important if someone loses to someone who is outwardly weaker. The girl repeats that Quare is completely right and she is determined to win. The woman notices that the opponent uses elemental magic in duels, especially ice magic. She then asks what kind of magic the lady has, to which she replies that she doesn't know yet. Quare shows curiosity and asks if the girl can use her powers. Romelian explains that her mother taught her ancient elven magic, and she's only read about modern magic, not practiced it. The maid notes that the lady is a true genius. The girl, slightly surprised, doubts this, after which they approach the table. The robot informs her that she has prepared a modest dinner. She also hopes the lady will like it. The main character, looking at the table, finds it hard to believe that this can be called modest. The pink-haired lady explains that she prepared various dishes without knowing the young lady's preferences. The girl understands that there is no middle ground for her and tries to smile. After a while, she sits down at the table and remembers her mother, who handed her potatoes. The mother asked if it was tasty and if the girl wanted more. The young lady then replied that she wasn't hungry when asked about Noda's mother. Now the maid asks if she liked the food, and the lady replies that everything is fine. The lady with pink hair adds that the child needs to eat a lot and is surprised that she is already full. Romelian explains that the girl simply remembered her mother, who is now in a dangerous place. It's hard for her to enjoy food alone, and it makes her feel uneasy. The maid only looks at the young lady. She thinks that she shouldn't have talked about her mother and continued eating. Now it's even harder for her, because Quare prepared all this for her. The robot offers to talk to the archmage about her mother's situation. The girl agrees, and the woman explains that, being an automaton, it is difficult for her to understand the full spectrum of human emotions. However, her creator Vidian is full of family love, so she can draw some conclusions. Quare's appearance resembles that of Vidian's late older sister. The young lady is slightly surprised. She realizes there's a sad story behind Quare's smile. The woman notes that her mother would probably be upset to see her eating so little. The girl remembers her mother and agrees that Quare is right. She thanks her and promises to eat well for her mother's sake. At this time, Glare is among the wizards, wondering why everyone is looking at him like that. A little later, he knocks on the director's office, and he invites him in. Glare enters and apologizes for interrupting. The man hopes he's had a wonderful morning and was just about to call him. Glare realizes that this is true and wonders why everyone was staring at him. He asks if something happened, and the man explains that it has to do with the little elf girl. The brunette is surprised, thinking that she is talking about a swindler, but the interlocutor admits that he does not understand how she managed to convince him. The Grandmaster has chosen her as a candidate apprentice. Glare smirks, thinking the master has completely lost his mind. The man reminds Glare to watch her words and explains that traditionally, a girl must first win a gem duel to become an apprentice. The villain finds this funny. The interlocutor adds that Glare will be even more surprised because this brat chose him as her rival. Glare then says it looks like the man is joking, while his interlocutor says that if the girl loses to him, people will start doubting the all-powerful Grand Master. The brown-haired man then says that he is the director, and he thinks several steps ahead. The man also says that the guy should hurry, after which he hands him a letter, and he claims that the fight will start in 16 minutes, which is why the guy arrives on time. And when he is about to leave, he turns to the director again and asks if the girl challenged him in the morning. His interlocutor replies that no, and only recently. And it also seems that her plan is to catch him unprepared. But let the brown-haired man mean he has the right to refuse. Glare then asks if he's really going to refuse a fight with this firmware. And he won't even have time to lift a finger before she falls. The director said it was true, and the guy also claims he'll make sure she gets a little scared. And that's only because causing harm is prohibited. The director then wishes him luck, but still wonders why he's so anxious. Perhaps they should be cautious. After all, there must be a reason the girl delayed the duel until now, and maybe she's a savant. A little while later, the crowd is already gathering to watch the fight, and someone asks if an 8-year-old girl is really going to fight. Someone else is wondering if they're sure she won't run away, and he heard she opened the door to enlightenment. Another man says that's impossible, because she'd have to be really strong. Meanwhile, someone else watches from their perch, and then calls for the participants to come out. Then the two enter the arena. And the man just says what an impudent brat the girl is, and it also seems like she somehow found out that he uses ice magic. The man also asks if she seriously thinks that she will win him by wrapping herself in clothes and that it is so cute. People in the stands then ask if she is scared, and they just have to look at all those layers of clothing, but the poor thing is doomed. At this time, the main character turns to the judge and asks when they will start. The people in the stands are a little surprised by this, and the referee states that first he would like to ask if they are familiar with the rules. The young lady then raises her hand and tells His Honor that she would like to suggest a mutual handicap. The man then asks if the girl really thinks she has a chance to win him over. The judge asks what she is proposing then, and the little girl claims that she is asking to prohibit Claire Sanros from moving for 5 minutes after the start of the fight. The people in the stands are surprised, and one of the girls asks why, because ice magic is best suited for defense, and he doesn't even need to move, and he will just need to block all attacks at this time. The judge then claims that he heard the lady, and asks what about Claire and what he wants. The man then claims that he is asking to limit the time of victory since they are still not comparable. Then if the girl doesn't break his gem within 15 minutes, then he wins. At this time, people in the stands ask if the lady will agree, but one of them claims that it is better than wasting time. The main character then states that she accepts the conditions, and the judge asks if he accepts the conditions of the young lady Claire, to which he replies that he does. The man also thinks that no problem, because he will give her a taste of hell in 10 minutes. He is also not interested in her stone at all, and the girl will suffer until she gives in. At this time, the judge hands them stones and tells them to attach them to their chests. The main character understands that the magical gem is not affected by physical force, but even a little magic will destroy it. And the judge claims that, as far as they know, the stone must be in a visible place and they will not be able to change its position. After which he proposes to begin the duel and states that the duel is beginning. Remillion immediately runs up to the man and begins to use his magic, after which he attacks him. Well, the man deflects this magic with one finger and says how funny it is. Someone in the stands claims that Claire doesn't even use his ice magic. And someone else asks if it wouldn't be strange if he attacked the child with all his might, to which the other says that he is right. And also, if this continues, the outcome is obvious, and when time starts to run out, the girl delivers a couple more blows. The man continues to beat them, and after a few seconds, the time runs out. Claire then tells the little change to hold on, and the young lady breathes heavily. Meanwhile, Mani tells her to enjoy these 10 minutes. At this time, someone asks if he is really going to end this, and the man created a huge magic circle. Someone else then says that those 5 minutes were so boring and he could have finished it faster. Someone from the stands also says that Claire should finish her off, saying it's so boring. Well, the judge is suddenly surprised because he sees how the man's stone begins to crack. At this time, Claire smugly says that now she has a piece of real magic. Well, then he also looks at his stone in shock and asks what it is. The people from the stands then, in shock, claim that this cannot be and his stone is broken, after which someone asks what just happened. The main character at this time just jumps and rejoices, and also asks His Honor if he is also a winner. He then says that exactly after which he announces that the winner of the duel is Remillion. At this time, someone from the stands asks how she won and shouldn't the clairvoyant watch for traces of magic. At this time, Claire says that the girl is a fraud, and also screams that she conspired with the Archmage to disgrace him. The man also runs towards that young lady and screams that he will not allow this. The people in the stands are then shocked. Well, when Claire is about to deliver his blow, the other magicians grab him, and they scream for him to stop. But the man only shouts that he will find the one behind all this, after which he also tells them to let him down. After all, this spawn is deceiving them, and he is going to use his magic again. But at the same moment, other magicians cast a blocking spell, and the man realizes that his magic is sealed. The judge at this time claims that nothing like this happened, and he swears by the name of the Guardian of the Dawn. At this time, the main character says that finally, after which she takes off her hood, and people looking at her hair say how amazing it is and ask if she really is an elf or if she is lying to get attention. At this time, Glare screams to be put down, and the girl turns to him and claims that she will show him exactly how she won the fight. After which she begins to cast a spell, and people ask if she really drew a magic circle. They also see the whole picture and ask if this is ancient elven magic. But this is impressive. And this barrier is practically low-level static electricity. But it worked because the gemstone only needs the slightest magic to break. So there's no need to use strong magic. The little girl insists that she was actually wearing just enough clothes so he wouldn't see her mouth when she cast her spells. And all those little spheres are a trick to distract him. People then ask if she really used the scarf on purpose. And this girl is simply something. The young lady understands that because Glare so greatly underestimated her, he didn't even think to use clairvoyance to observe her. And if he had used it, she would have lost, and this is all the power of information. At this time, Glare runs up to the young lady and hugs her, and says that she and Vidian believed in her. When a woman starts to spin around with a young lady, the latter asks her to stop, and says that she feels dizzy. The woman then apologizes for being overly happy, and Vermilion asks if she really knows how to be happy. The woman then says that it was because she knew how hard the lady trained and she definitely deserved to win. At this time, someone else approaches them, and the people in the stand say that this is a great master. At this time, the judge turns to him and says that the fight is over and that Vermilion is the winner, to which the man replies that it is clear. After which, he also says that he, Kagrel, and also the Grand Master of Edifies, would like to announce that the winner of the gemstone duel becomes his apprentice. The crowd in the stands is then amazed and congratulates the man on having his first apprentice. The young lady at this time understands that she is now the apprentice of the Archmage, and in the original sources it was not said that he had an apprentice, but there is no mention of time travel. Quare also said after the duel that the Archmage's students are also considered candidates for Archmages and heads of edifice. This, of course, was not part of her plans, but the girl did not even suspect that it would go so far. However, her goal is to make her mother happy, and becoming a student of the archipelago will be very helpful for achieving this. The girl also understands that she is not so naive as to miss this opportunity. At this time, the woman asks if something is bothering the lady, but she replies that nothing is wrong and she is just happy. At this time, the Archmage is sitting in his office, and then his assistant addresses him. And he also tells the Grand Master that he has a report from the Twilight Knights. The man asks what the result is, to which the guy with pink hair claims that her route on the airship from the village of Rothby was confirmed. And as the gentleman may have suspected, her movements had not been carried out before. She seemed to appear out of thin air right in this village, and Vidian asked if further investigation was required. Brunette claims that if she were sent as a spy, her expedition would be too reckless, and the likelihood of being banned from entry is too high. And he feels her sincere desire to enter Edifice, and therefore he feels that he can trust her. But he's sure the girl is hiding something. The pink-haired guy then says, if the gentleman needs anything, he'll do it. But he says that this is all, and he accepted her as a student, knowing full well that she could betray him. Vidian argues that he shouldn't think so right away, because he should have more faith in people. And the brunette claims that one day even he might betray him. Vidian says how cruel that is, then sighs. He also says that after so many years together, his master is like Quare. After which, he also asks why everyone is so cruel to him. But then the guy sighs and hands Cage another paper and tells him to look at this. The man then asks what it is, and the guy with pink hair replies that Lady Vermilion gave it to him. She noticed that he had been very busy lately, after which the assistant said with a smile on his face that the girl wrote this wonderful letter with her little hands, and it is amazing, but it is superbly written. The guy is then about to say something else, but the brunette immediately snatches the letter from his hands. Vidian is only angered by this. The brunette begins reading the letter, which says the girl heard that the dear Grand Master is very busy. That's why she writes this letter, and if he reads it, she hopes that it means he's taking a short break. The girl also wrote that she was very surprised that she was able to become the Archmage's apprentice and will do everything possible to fulfill her duties and prove her worth. She also knows that it's hard to just believe a child who says that she is a half-elf. But nevertheless, he gave her a chance, so the girl thanks him and claims that he is her and her mother's last hope. She also promises to work hard to win his trust and repay him for everything. After which she wrote that this is with respect, his diligent student, Remillion. The man, having read this, only smiles and also wonders whether the girl will prove her worth. He also thinks what a smart child he is. Meanwhile, the maid turns to the winner of the gemstone duel and announces that dinner is served. She also claims that she hopes that she will like everything, and the main character is looking at all this. She thinks that this is like a real 5-star banquet, so she doesn't even know where to start. The maid claims that she compiled this menu based on the information she had about Lady Remillion. The main character then says that this is how it is, and also realizes that she is full just from the sight of this dinner. The robot then claims that she hasn't eaten much lately due to training, and that this is her first normal meal in a while, so she made sure it was filling. She also noted which dishes she liked, and the main character then thanks Quare, after which the woman simply offers to eat while it is still hot, and the young lady understands that if she does not start, it will happen again. Quare then asks if the young lady doesn't like it, and she replies that she doesn't at all, and that there's so much food there. Therefore, she won't be able to eat more than a bite of each dish, to which the woman replies that this is normal. But the young lady insists that she doesn't want to be so wasteful. Quare then says that a student of the archipelago should eat properly, and that this is perfectly natural. Remillion claims she's a little uneasy, and the pink-haired lady says it looks like she miscalculated. And the great master is right, she's just a clumsy doll. The main character then says no, Quare didn't do anything wrong, after which the little girl asserts that she'll eat as much as she can, and their woman says, that's excellent. The young lady then thinks that she should have just thanked her for the food and that they would be together for some time. She wants them to understand each other and feel comfortable, but since Quare is not human, she is not sure about this. When the young lady eats the food, she thinks it is very tasty, and a little while later she finds herself in bed and the maid wishes her good night. The main character also wishes her good night, but then thinks that the motorists are probably sleeping. Remillion realizes that she has been watching her every move since dinner, and Quare is trying so hard to please her, feeling like a robot maid. Then the young lady also yawns and realizes that the duel must have taken a lot of her strength because she was so tired. And she will sleep soundly, but the girl also looks at the robot maid, and he wonders if this is really a golden glow again. After which the baby falls asleep, and when she opens her eyes, she doesn't understand where she is. At that very moment, someone addresses her as their child, and the young lady, with tears in her eyes, realizes that this is her mother. Then she turns to her and asks if it is really her, but she missed her so much. At this time, the woman tells Remillion to come to her, and the young lady does so. And she also says that this is a dream, after which she once again turns to her mother and says that she always called her Leanne. The baby also says that she is glad to see her again, but then suddenly she feels some kind of flow of air and wonders what it is. After which he hears someone's voice who claims that he believes that using only hints from her memory will not help. The main character, looking at this man, asks who he is, to which he replies that his name is Ahimulnosis. He is also a dragon that controls the space-time continuum of this world. The main character is then a little surprised, and the dragon claims that she has violated the sacred continuum, so let her go back where she came from and disappear. He also growls at the young lady, and she realizes she's too weak to resist him. After which, the dragon begins to use its breath, and the young lady remembers her mother, and he also apologizes to her for not being able to save her. Then the little girl realizes that this fire doesn't burn her, and wonders what happened. The dragon falls and begins to shrink. The young lady realizes she's withstood a full blast of the dragon's breath, and can't even comprehend how she survived. She wonders if this is really a dream, but she has a feeling that this is not a dream at all. After which the young lady opens her eyes, and in shock, she asks what this is. Then she gets out of bed and sighs, wondering what a strange dream this is. The girl starts to get down from her bed and realizes that she wants water, but sees some boy in front of her, and he realizes it wasn't a dream after all. The young lady then apologizes and wonders if he's really hurt. But the last time she saw this dragon, he was exactly the same, and maybe when he attacked her, something went wrong and he got hurt. At the same moment, someone knocks on the door of the room and the main character wonders if someone really came at such and such an hour, and maybe it was Quare. And she probably came to check on her because of the noise in the room, but if she comes in now, it will be bad. After which, the young lady immediately runs to the door and screams for her to wait and not to come in. But at this moment, the maid already opens the door and the young lady thinks how to explain all this to her. The lady with pink hair claims that she is still incompetent and says that these were asleep. The main character then turns to Quare and asks if she is okay, but she only says that it is not okay, and that it is okay. Remillion thinks that everything is bad and that Vidya needs to be told about it, but it is now the middle of the night. The young lady also says that Quare seems tired and needs to rest. The woman simply says that she's obligated to take care of her and is a useless fool. The main character, however, says that's not true, and that Quare is amazing. However, she once again insists that she must take care of the animal. The young lady then replies that it's a long story. After which, he looks at the dragon, and the maid claims that Edife, pet, is permitted and not permitted, as well as anxiety. The main character vaguely understands what she is talking about, but claims that everything is not so. After which she also sees this golden light, and thinks why Quare is glowing like that. At this time, the girl claims that she is analyzing, and the young lady is interested in what is wrong. But the woman only claims that there is a warning about the invasion, and this needs to be stopped. At this time, the dragon opens one of its eyes, and the main character only screams that it is not there, after which she begins to use her magic, and he tells Quare to stop, after which she freezes in place, and the young lady thinks that, thank God. The immobilization spell works on the robot as well, but it doesn't last long, after which the girl immediately runs up to the dragon, and he lifts him up in his arms and asks him to stand up. Remillion understands that, according to the story, the dragon brings harmony to the world. Well, she also remembers how he said that her existence distorts matter itself, and the girl understands that she knows that she has disrupted the flow of time and space. After which, she thinks whether she could be the reason why Quare is in such a state, and she was glowing strangely before all this. Remillion once again asks the dragon to wake up, and also asserts that she will do everything possible to help him. But at that very moment, some smoke begins to appear near her, and the young lady wonders what is happening and she can't see anything. But at that very moment, something pushes her away, and the girl falls to the floor, after which she sees a dragon in front of her, who says that she has sinned, and then says again that she is a sinner. The young lady then wonders if this is Mr. Dragon, but the guy only tells her not to call him strange nicknames. He also mentioned his name and wondered if she hadn't heard. The main character then tries to remember his name and says it's Ahim and something else, after which she calls the dragon Mr. Ahim, and he asks how she dared to cut the noble and the medallion, and this is unthinkable. But the young lady is thinking about how charming this guy is. The young man just turns away, and the main character apologizes and says it's just that his name is so long. She also tells Mr. Ahim that she has a small problem here, but the guy just says that the problem is that she is the goddaughter, and the girl says that she is serious because it is very urgent and they do not have much time. The guy then turns to the maid and says that he understands the problem is with her. The girl says that her friend started to behave strangely after she started to glow golden. She tried to attack Mr. Akim, but he temporarily immobilized her. However, she didn't mean to, so the girl asks not to punish Quare. The guy then asks why he acted so rashly. The girl claims it was because he attacked her out of the blue. However, he says he had his reasons, and the young lady claims that maybe it's because her friend is acting so strangely. While the guys reply that it's true and the thing has some kind of malfunction, Remillion insists she's not a thing, and her name is Quare. The dragon, however, insists that he acted hastily, based on rational considerations. And he must also restore harmony in the world, and Quare is under the influence of chaos. So as the girl already understood, she was the culprit. The main character then asks if this is why the dragon tried to put her into eternal sleep, to which he replies that not quite, and he tried to erase it. Romillion then asks if he's really going to erase it again, but the dragon asks the sinner if her soul is not of this world. The girl then asks if he means her past life, and Mr. Achim asks if she was originally in another world and remembers everything, to which the girl replies that yes. And the dragon says that then it is not surprising that his attack did not work, because it is because her soul is not from there. The main character then understands why she remained unharmed after the dragon's breath, and the guy claims that because of the ban on attacking the soul of another world, he lost his power. After which the young lady with the stony face says how sorry she is, but the dragon asks if she really doesn't understand how catastrophic this is. And he also lost the power that could seal the spatial rift that she created. The girl then asks if this means that he won't be able to fix Quern. Ahimolnus angrily replies that this is the last thing they should worry about now. He also tells the sinner to listen, and if this continues, then in 12 years the whole world will disappear. The baby wonders if it will collapse and talks about 12 years. This is the exact moment when she was supposedly born. The girl wonders if this means she'll fall into eternal sleep now. However, the dragon insists that won't work, as he'll have to completely erase her with his power. And if the dragon's breath had worked, she would have disappeared without a trace, but now this is impossible. The main character realizes that this is not what her mother wanted when she sent her to the past. After which she also asks if there really is no other way out, to which the dragon replies that there is one. But at that very moment, the robot begins to twitch, and the main character realizes the spell will soon end. She also asks Mr. Achim to tell her what this method is, and the guy claims that the problem with this world is that when a girl creates a rift, the village that stabilizes the space-time continuum breaks and dissipates. And the dragons call her fragments Lissetti. One of them must have been absorbed into Quer, and if it were removed, her friend would return to normal. The main character then turns to the dragon and asks him to remove the shard. But the guy claims there's a catch, and this isn't the only Lissetti. There are many of them, scattered throughout the continuum. Therefore, the girl must gather them all to repair the rift and restore harmony to the world. The young lady then says that this means that the dragon did not need to attack him and could have simply collected the Lissetas. But the guy claims that it took enormous force to upset the balance of the world, and everything is not so simple. The main character then asks if this is really the only option now, to which the dragon replies that it is true, and that their last hope is to collect all the Lachiti with their lost power. Then the young lady says that they should collect them for Mr. Achim and not just for Quer, to which the guy nods and says that this is correct. The young lady insists that Quer will return to normal. There's nothing interesting in this deal for her. Therefore, she will go to someone else who will help her, and there is no need for them to unite. If he doesn't need her, the dragon then says how treacherous humans are, and that the sages were right that people can't be trusted. But the girl with a smile on her face says that in conclusion she will say that he is using her to get his power back. She also asks how old Mr. Achim is, to which he replies that he is 408. And the girl says that if you translate these years into human years, then they are the same age. So she wouldn't have to be so polite with him. The dragon then lies down and says what an impudent person she is and asks how dare she look down on the powerful dragon. But after that, the girl just grabs him by the hair and pulls, causing the guy to scream. After which he sits in the corner and says that he will allow his race, and the main character wonders if she really went too far. After which she approaches the dragon and says that she will not do this again, and she once again turns to Mr. Achim, and they also say that no matter what happens, her mission is to make her mother happy even after she collects all the Lissetti. Will she be allowed to live her life? The guy replies that she won't, and even if she collects all the Lissetti and saves the world, she will cease to exist in 12 years. The young lady then says that she knows, and the guy claims that, however, he, who is a powerful dragon, as soon as he regains his strength, will try to find a way to save her. The young lady then asks if this is true, and the dragon says yes if she agrees to his contract. The girl then says fine, and she agrees. And he also asks if this is just a verbal agreement, to which he replies that no, and that they must share one mind and mana. After which he tells the young lady to relax and close her eyes and agrees to something, and the guy shakes himself against her shoulder. The young lady notices that he's cold, and it's probably because he's a reptile. At this time, the dragon only bites the young lady's shoulder, is surprised by something, and then screams in shock about what it was. The dragon replies that it is a contract seal and everything went wrong because it moved. Remillion asks why it has to be her neck, but the boy insists it was the closest. The young lady then furiously replies, it doesn't have to be her neck, and wonders if he really wanted to fall into eternal sleep. The dragon then tells her to calm down, but the young lady says that if he had told her, she would have offered her hand. Achim says the seal will disappear anyway, so the location doesn't matter. But the young lady says that it is important to her and tells the dragon to do it faster, after which he bites her again and the main character asks if this is all, to which he replies that no, and a red liquid should come out. He also says that human teeth are more difficult than he thought, and he will exchange them for dragon teeth. But at that very moment, the young lady hits him on the head and the guy asks in surprise why. The young lady replies that he bit her twice for no reason, and the guy says she can now hit him. But the girl says they don't have time, after which he tells him to finally do it. At that moment, the dragon transforms and the young lady closes her eyes, after which she realizes that there is no one in front of her and also wonders where he went. After which the young lady notices a little dragon on the floor and it tries with all its might to fly, but it doesn't succeed. After which he asks what she is waiting for and also let her take him in her arms. The main character then turns to Mr. Achim and asks if he can't fly. At this time, the guy replies that he did say that he lost his strength, and the young lady asks if this is true, and also if she holds him, she will not be able to give him her hand. After which, the dragon says that she should then give him her neck. And the girl says that since the seal won't be visible, then okay. But the dragon then says that she refused earlier, to which the girl replies that it's because he bit her without warning. The dragon then merely says that they need to begin, and the young lady holds it to her neck and says how impudent he is, after which the dragon bites her. And the girl realizes that goosebumps run down her spine, but then she begins to feel some kind of light. And she also understands that it was just painful, but she was suddenly overcome by a calming warmth. At this time, the dragon tells her to open her eyes and the girl does so, after which she asks if this is all. To which he replies that yes, and everything is ready. She also looks at the dragon, who is now flying, and wonders if he is using her mana, to which he replies that this is exactly the case. The girl then asks if this means that she can also use his mother, to which he replies that it is possible, but he will not allow it. After which the young lady says that this is not fair, and the dragon falls to the floor and screams what happened. Remillion claims that it seems like she can stop the drain of her mana, but then she apologizes and promises it won't happen again, but the dragon just turns around and says it doesn't matter, then suggests they don't waste time. He also claims that Lakady easily attach themselves to humans. It's also strange that this one chose an object. The main character then says that she is not an object, and the dragon asks if she is really a person, to which the main character doesn't even know how to respond, and Achim says that in order for her to have Lachey, she must be connected to the young lady by fate, even if she is not human. The main character then asks what it means to be connected to fate, and the dragon claims that this is one of the reasons why he wanted to enter into this contract with the target, and that's because she is the reason why these fragments flew apart. And then the young lady says that these are not just people she knows, but a person or an object that she will meet in the future. The girl then asks if they can also have Lissetti, to which the dragon replies that she quickly catches on. The girl says she understands now, but wonders how he gets them out. Achim replies that with people, it might be a hindrance, but with objects, it's much easier. The girl must find out Lisette's true form, because only then will she be able to pull him out. The dragon also claims it's not that difficult, since Lachidi appears in a form familiar to her. The young lady then wonders if it's also from attacks, and he also says that Quair started behaving this way after the golden glow, to which the dragon replies that everything is correct, and the main character understands that the same thing happened to her earlier, and also asks if there is Lachey inside her too. After which the golden glow begins to occur again, and a card appears near the girl's hands, on which is written about peace, completion, and fulfillment. The dragon then asks if she recognizes it, to which the young lady replies that this tarot card is called the World, although it's hard to tell because it's reversed. Well, it signifies completion and fulfillment. The dragon then says that she understands, and the young lady claims that in a past life she sometimes went to fortune tellers. Achim then says that these laketi were created to remind her of something that she knew deep down, and as far as he knows, there are 22 laketi. After which he asks if this number matches the tarot cards, to which the girl replies that yes, there are 22 main trump cards arcana. Each card can have many different interpretations, and the guy asks if this means that each of them has its own meaning. He also suspects that the message on the card may be an important key to finding each credit, and the young lady wonders if a card like the one in love will have anything to do with love. To which he replies that it is correct, and the young lady says that she thinks she understands. After which the dragon asks if she can determine which of the cards will be in quare, to which the girl replies that she is not sure. The dragon then becomes shocked and asks what she is talking about. The young lady claims that she guessed a lot about the window and did not study all the interpretations in detail. Near which the dragon asks who cares about the interpretations of the other world, and the girl says that now that she thinks about it. So all that's left for her to do is guess, and she wonders if she can't go through all the cards until she gets the right one. The dragon says that if she does this, then Lachey might run away and everything is not so simple, after which the girl says okay, and also thinks what it could be. At this time, Achim tells her to think carefully, and the young lady realizes that it is as if she has broken down and her speech is incoherent. The destruction looks like a catastrophe, or the chaos of the tower, or the fear of the moon. It could also be driving a chariot, and the girl thinks it's confusing because everything is so vague. The young lady then grabs her head and tries to think of something, but then the dragon turns to her, and she also claims that this is her first time. And although it would be nice to get it right away, they still have 12 years to finish it completely. So the girl can avoid feeling the pressure and just try. The young lady then turns to Mr. Achim. She then clenches her fists and firmly realizes he's right, because whether he extracts the equivalent of Chet or runs away doesn't matter. She must save Quare. The young lady then says that nothing will happen, and she decided to which the dragon says that it is good, and he will also use her mana and direct it to the Lachey, and also, at his signal, have her pronounce the Lachey's name. After that, the dragon begins casting magic, and the girl understands that it sounds like Runia or a song, but something is different, and the young lady wonders if this is the language of dragons. After which the dragon screams for her to name this object now, and the young lady says that it is a fool. Quinn begins to glow with a bright light, after which a card approaches the young lady and tells her that it worked. She also understands that this is the Fool card, the beginning of birth. Of course, to take shape, it must be meaningful, and she tried to figure it out based on the knowledge she had. Meanwhile, the dragon tells the person she's done a good job, and she realizes the first card has such great meaning. Considering this, she acted strangely, like a clumsy fool, and now everything falls into place. The main character then says that they did it, but at that very moment, the maid begins to fall to the floor and the young lady immediately turns to her in concern, after which they ask her to wake up. She also turns to the dragon and says that maybe she really is broken, but he says that most likely she was overloaded due to the Lachey. Remillion understands that she took the clumsy doll too close to her heart, and she knew that she was not like that, but she should have explained everything to her more openly. After which the main character apologizes to Quare and also understands what made her go through so much pain and problems. But even if Quare is a robot, they are still the same, and she was dim-witted, so they promise to protect her better in the future. At this moment, the maid opens her eyes and asks if this is Lady Remillion. And he also asks what happened, and the main character asks if she really doesn't remember. Dragon says that in order to seal the rift, all memories of the Lachey disappear. And the young lady says that it is clear. And the lady with pink hair wonders if she has let Lady Remillion down again, and the Great Master is right. She is just a clumsy doll. The main character says that everything is not like that at all, and she is the coolest and most competent automaton of them all. And she also heard from Vidian that she is developing through collecting data, and therefore she did nothing wrong because she is in the process of studying. Quare then says that she understands, and will take care to collect all the information about Lady Remillion, and will also work hard. The main character then says that if she has any preferences, then let her tell her, after which the woman thinks a little. and the young lady wonders if automatons have preferences. Then she tells Quare that she wants to know more about her too, and the woman then suggests working on it together. Meanwhile, the dragon begins to fall again, after which he angrily turns to the young lady and says she promised not to do that again. Quare asks what kind of little reptile it is. The main character picks up the dragon and says it's her pet, named Achim. The woman then asks if it's really a pet, and the dragon screams in his thoughts, "How dare this pathetic man call him a pet?" The maid says that in edifies, mages are allowed to have pets and familiars, so the lizard was approved. And the young lady then, with a smile on her face, rejoices at the dragon, who, in shock, asks if he is really a lizard, and he cries out furiously that he is a powerful dragon. A little while later, he transforms back and asks how the girl could have done this. Well, the main character claims that he can't just walk around there in that uniform because she doesn't need any invited guests. The guy just gets angry after this and says what a little brat she is. He also yells that he's not a pet and not a lizard, but the young lady only asks him to calm down. After which he says that it's okay, but also states that she should know that for now he is holding back. The young lady then says that it is good and then asks what he eats and also feeds on raw meat, to which he replies that the dragon does not need the food of mortals. But the main character says that if she doesn't feed him, then those around him might start to suspect something, and then he tells her to give him some fruit or something like that. At this time, a maid enters the room and tells Lady Remillion that the Great Master would like to dine with her. The girl immediately grabs the dragon so that the maid does not notice that it is flying, after which she becomes interested. Does he really want to have lunch right now? The pink-haired lady asks if this is too sudden and says it was impolite of the Archmage to invite her at the last minute. She also claims that she has already warned him that if the mistress refuses, she will force him to eat alone. My lady says that it is not worth it. After which the lady with pink hair asks how to answer her, and the girl says that everything is fine because she will eat with him. After which she throws the dragon onto the bed, and he dejectedly says that the girl will regret it. A short time later, the elevator arrives on the 20th floor, where the dining room is located. The lady with pink hair says that it is quite busy there since it is lunchtime, and the main character is surprised and also understands that all these people must be magicians of edifies. At this time, someone turns to her and asks if she is the student of the archipelago, and another girl says that the baby is so cute. Someone else greets the girl and asks if she wants candy, and someone else asks if she really did beat Glare. Someone else says that frankly, she doesn't like him either, and someone else says the rumors were true because she's very beautiful. Meanwhile, the main character thinks she's not used to being treated like this. At this time, someone else turns to the young lady and asks if this is the Archmage's new apprentice. After which the rest of the magicians greet the director, and he, with a smile on his face, says how sweet it is. At this time, the young lady is thinking, aren't these the people who went against the Archmage, and she would like to avoid them? After which she greets him and says that her name is Remillion, but the man only says that she reminds him of his granddaughter. And he just happened to want to meet her, and it was such a coincidence. The young lady just apologized and was about to leave, and the man wonders if she's really leaving so quickly, and he's only staying for a minute. The girl then starts to respond, but a dark-haired man appears behind her and tells her to be careful and watch where she's going. The young lady then wonders if this is the Great Master, and Claire asks if he decided not to wait in a separate room and came to accompany her, to which he replies that he thought that he could too. The director at this time says that he sees that his little student is rather shy and let him just look at how she clings to him, so it looks like he got himself a cute child without even getting married. He also says what a beautiful sight it is. The young lady immediately steps away from the Archmage and realizes she hadn't even noticed she was clinging to him. The brunette says enough of this and that they have business to attend to, and the young lady, embarrassed, realizes she's been acting like a child. Quare tells the young lady that, as bad as it may be, she seems to have taken a liking to the Great Master, and Lady Remillion has no reason to distance herself from him. The girl then says that everything is wrong. The brunette just extends his hand to her and says that she is still a child, after which he offers to talk while they walk. The young lady agrees in response and also thinks that his hand is so big and warm. At this time, the guy says that he read her letter and thanks the young lady for taking the time to read it. After which, the brunette claims that he plans to hold the official inauguration ceremony of her becoming a student, and therefore her schedule for the next few weeks will be freed up and she can rest. The young lady then says that she understands and asks if she should then move somewhere permanently, since she lives in a guest room. The girl also claims she's broke and wants to know if she can get a loan to pay for her rent. But the maid then says Lady Vermilion has misunderstood. And although it's not customary for students to live on the 76th floor, as the archipelago's only student, she can use it as she pleases. The young lady then wonders if this is true. The maid claims that the 76th floor will henceforth belong to Lady Vermilion. But at that very moment, a message arrives, and the lady with pink hair asks if this is something urgent, to which the brand replies that these are important matters. After which he apologizes for the fact that it is so unexpected, but the young lady says that everything is fine and also asks not to worry about her. Cage then leaves and says they'll see each other later. A short time later, the young lady returns to the dragon, and he immediately gets out of bed and asks how she could leave him alone, to which the girl replies that she needed to eat. They also need to eat to survive, but the dragon just says how impudent she is, and the young lady tells him to eat his fruit. At that moment, someone knocks on the principal's office, and he tells the boy to come in. After which the servant reports that Director Chauvel received a letter from Lady Harch. After which the man says that's great, and they can't put it off any longer because they need to prepare for the inauguration. The servant then asks if the director needs anything else, to which he replies no. And the guy is free, to which he agrees, after which he leaves, and the man takes matters into his own hands. Information about the young lady and says that it is in Vermilion's interests that she leave, and the sooner, the better. And although she was lucky with these tricks in the duel, her little game is over. At this time, the brunette is wondering if Archmage Cage has a new student. The maid replies that yes, and the woman wonders if this is really such an insignificant offspring and that it's just funny. At this time, the maid hands over a letter from Chauvel Lufon about this matter, and the woman grabs this letter, after which they read what is written there. That he is sure that this worthlessness is significantly inferior to food, so let her visit edifies and show them all her power. After which the woman smiles. And she also says that the director always has a plan, and soon this girl will be kicked out, and she will become the Archmage's apprentice, which will be better for her to shine, after which she asks Ober if this is true. The maid tells my lady that yes, and the woman says that she is in a good mood, so let her bring some tea. After which, the girl leaves, and the brunette says that it doesn't matter how, but she will become a student, and the final goal is the main thing. A short time later, the protagonist awakens and is immediately addressed by the dragon. The young lady then asks if Mr. Achim is awake, but he says now is not the time to be idle. After all, he senses that a new Lachey has appeared. The girl then asks if he's really here yet, and the guy tells her to change and that they should go search all of Edifies. The girl then agrees and sets out to search, but cannot find him anywhere. She wanders through various rooms and then whispers to the dragon if he's sure he actually sensed the Lachey. He replies that it's a strange thing. He feels a presence but can't pinpoint where exactly. The young lady then asks if there are any other clues, to which the dragon replies that perhaps the power of her Lachey will help. The girl then realizes that, aside from the golden glow, she hasn't changed at all like Quare. Well, if you think about it, the plot of the game becomes more and more clear, and she knew it because she was so deep in her awareness and knowledge of this world. However, the dragon claims that it also allows one to identify cracks in the continuum. Well, the young lady whispers, won't knowledge of the game help find the Lachey? To which the dragon replies that he didn't tell her not to use them, but that she should just remember the consequences. The protagonist then asks what it means, and the dragon replies that it's about the consequences on her mana and psyche. After all, the only thing missing is the use of mana, which means that the mental abilities she developed in her past life could weaken. Her mental age will also decrease, but nevertheless, with short-term use of her power, she will restore them within a day. The main character wonders if her mental age will decrease and already imagines how she will lie on the floor and cry, and also thinks that it will be terrible. The dragon at this time asks why she doesn't try it right now, and the girl whispers that she won't answer, she's not going to use this card if there is no need. Achim then says that he thought she said that this card would help, And isn't that true? But the girl whispers that there is no need to embarrass himself because of this. At that moment, the young lady hears someone meowing and gets a little scared, after which she turns around. She also asks why the cat is hissing at them. The dragon claims that since cats are spirit animals, she must have understood their true nature. After which he also asks how dare the insignificant animal hiss at him, and the main character only tells the dragon to calm down. At this point, someone picks up the cat and says it's scaring them. It turns out to be Vidian, and he asks what brings Lady Vermilion there. The girl doesn't even know what to say and asks about Mr. Vidian. He says that this is a laboratory of magic creation, and the young lady says that then it is clear. The pink-haired boy then turns to Chi and asks what's so annoying about her today. He tells the protagonist that maybe she doesn't like lizards, after which she also apologizes but says she needs to go. At that moment, someone else runs up to them and addresses Chi. He also picks up the cat and apologizes for her. Vidian says everything is fine, and the main character, watching the guy leave with the cat, asks if it wasn't Mr. Vidian's cat. He replies that it wasn't, and that many mages bring their pets to edifies, so they're used to it, and there's no need to apologize. The guy also says what a wonderful moment it is, and he has something for her. After which, he hands over a bouquet and congratulates Milady on her victory, and also states that he is late, but hopes she will like it. Also, unfortunately, he has been too busy lately and is wondering if the lady will accept them. After all, she deserves more than just words, and he also tried to find flowers that would suit her. At this time, the main character realizes that Varys' legitimate children from his queen never accepted her as their sister. They came many times to threaten and harass her. Years of relentless abuse. She was happy when she was able to blend into the shadows and remain unnoticed. Meanwhile, Vidian turns to Lady Vermilion, and the girl wonders if she really deserves all this love. Meanwhile, the pink-haired guy says, what if she doesn't like it? Well, the girl interrupts him and says that no, and these flowers are beautiful, after which she thanks him. Vidian, with tears in his eyes, says that he is so glad that the lady liked it, and if she wants something else, she should just tell him. But at that very moment, he receives a message, and the young lady asks if his covenant is the Great Master. However, the assistant says no, and that it's something worse, after which the young lady says, see you then, and they'll see each other at the inauguration. The main character understands that everyone there is always so busy, and at this time, the dragon turns to the person, and he says he can't breathe. The young lady then apologizes, after which the dragon suggests they return for now. A short time later, the girl arrives on the 76th floor. Well, at that very moment, someone turns to her and asks if she is really a servant, and if so, then she should hurry up and prepare the room. Vermilion then apologizes and wonders who it is, and the black-haired lady says she's there. The main character only claims that she's not a servant, but lives there. After which the brunette asks what she is talking about, and then asks with a smile on her face, is she really that commoner who claims to be an elf? The young lady then inquires as to who her interlocutor is. Her maid explains that before her stands Lady Harch, the daughter of Duke Tybog of the Kingdom of Nolfis. At this point, the brunette turns to Ober and asks who said she could speak for her. The maid then apologizes, and the main character realizes that she doesn't remember such a name in the game and wonders if in the language of the western part of the continent, this name doesn't mean trash. And she thinks, what kind of terrible name is this, and this girl serves an even more terrible Harch. At this time, the brunette turns to Vermilion and asks why she has settled down since she must bow before her. Well, the main character says that this is completely pointless, because now they are not in the Kingdom of Nolfis. And this is Helamonia, under the rule of Ediphaes. This region does not belong to any kingdom or country. Therefore, what the lady says about her having to adhere to the customs of their kingdom makes no sense. The dragon at this time turns to the young lady and claims that he feels a strong presence of Lachey and that he is in this room. The main character then looks at these two, and the brunette only wonders how dare she say such a thing. A little while later, the girl is already sitting behind the sofa and whispering, "Dragon!" Well, that means summer, that one of them definitely has a Lachey. He replies that yes, but he doesn't know who exactly, and he needs to take a closer look. At this time, the brunette turns to the young lady and asks what the hell she is doing. and whether she really imprisoned her so that she can now ignore her. The main character then looks out from behind the sofa and apologizes. The woman says that this is incredibly rude. The main character then turns to Lady Harch again, and she asks what she needs. After which, the young lady asks if her pet isn't cute, and his name is Achim. The girl also asks if the woman would like to support him, but he replies that they will respond that he stinks. The young lady then says that she promises that he won't stink if she supports him herself, and the woman says that then it seems like she herself stinks so much that she can't smell it. The dragon only gets angry after this and asks how this pathetic man dares to do this, but the brunette then says that this ugly creature has an even more vile character. The young lady, meanwhile, begs the dragon to calm down, after which he begins to feel something, and the girl says that it seems he is tired and has started to act up, and also tells Achim to sleep. The young lady also apologizes in her thoughts and also understands that she had to reduce the flow of mana a little and he will be very angry later, but he needs to deal with them right now. At that moment, someone else enters the room and says that this is where Harch is. It turns out to be the Great Master, asking if they were all there. The main character then wants to ask a question, but the black-haired lady immediately rises and greets the Archmage. The man then says they haven't seen each other for a long time, and the young lady thinks she just needs to look at this woman. She says she agrees with the master who killed her, and the brunette asks what happened to her voice and whether she is sick, after which she apologizes. And the man asks why she is crying and replies that she thinks it is because of severe stress. But then she says that no, but she is still guilty of arguing with the child and asks not to pay attention to her. The man then says that he will do as she says, and then turns to Remillion. The main character realizes that of all the tricks in the books, she used small crocodile tears. Meanwhile, the brunette tells Harch to sit down too. The woman then gets angry, turns around, and screams that in truth, this girl insulted her and she looked down on her because she did not belong to Ediface, and also tried to scare her with this lizard. The brunette, at this point, turns to Lady Harch, and he also says that she asked him not to pay attention to her, and therefore, as she asked, he got down to business. And now it's time to clarify their situation. The guy begins to use magic, after which he sees everything that happened before. At this time, the main character wonders whether a video surveillance system was installed in the halls, and he understands that Achim will now need to be more careful. Brunei, however, says that for security reasons, the halls are equipped with a system that records all actions, and he expected this from her arrogant behavior, but nevertheless he is disappointed. After this, the woman is only surprised, and the main character understands that she has been completely exposed, and she's so sorry that this pathetic attempt failed. Meanwhile, the brunette tells Remillion to take the lizard back to her room, to which the young lady agrees. The Archmage tells Harch that if she is afraid of lizards, then he asks for forgiveness, and since the lizard is no longer there, then he will listen to her. After which he asks if there is anything to add about the woman claiming to be the Duke's messenger and how they can treat her like that. At this point, someone else enters the room and apologizes for the intrusion. The man then asks if it's the director. He apologizes again for the unannounced visit. Cage then asks what he needs, but the director only says that Lady Harch should be on the 68th floor, but it seems she was mistakenly sent to the VIP room on the 76th floor. The brunette then asks if this is really a simple mistake. The director turns to Harch and asks if this is true. She replies that it is. At this point, the man says that he hopes she will be more attentive next time and asks if they have anything else to add. Well, the director just says that it's time for them to leave, after which the Archmage says that, however, this still doesn't explain it. Why did the Duke's daughter burst into Edifice unannounced? The director only smiles and asks, wasn't it expected that she would be there? And according to tradition, there should be a special inauguration of his first student, especially considering the fact that he'd consistently turned Lady Harch down, even with his recommendations. The main character realizes that everything is now becoming clear, and this girl thinks she's taken her place. The director says that upon hearing that someone has surpassed her, Lady Harch will naturally want to see that person. She also simply wants to see Vermilion's abilities that surpass hers. At this time, the brunette says that that's enough and they are free, and the director says that then they will see them at the inauguration. And when these people come out, the brunette only apologizes to the young lady, and she asks what he is talking about. Cage then says that even after all the effort she put into winning the gem duel, it was because of his mistakes that she ended up in this situation. The young lady then says that it is not at all, and that she will simply have to work even harder to prove her case, but the brunette says that it was true, and this girl has the necessary skills to become a student. The young lady then asks if this is true, and the brunette claims that she has enormous potential and is capable of mastering several types of magic. Meanwhile, the director turns to Harch and says he'll ask her to be more careful in edifies from now on. The girl then simply says she simply couldn't stand that this worthless individual was using the webcam. Her interlocutor then realizes that this girl's arrogance knows no bounds, and claims that she says she came as a messenger of Duke Taibeog, but her attitude leaves much to be desired. The girl then says that this is a habit, and the man understands that he needs to be calm and also remember that this child is a magical prodigy. With one of the magic subtypes, elemental, alteration, creation, primordial, or special, she masters everything. And no matter what special skill an elf has, no one can compare to a magician who has many subtypes of magic. He then turns to the girl and asks if she's interested in what type of magic the child has. The girl then asks what it is. The man replies that hers is colorless, and that he asked a clairvoyant to examine her. She might also think that she has no more mana than an ordinary person, but her knowledge of Runia is her only asset. If the magic she presents at the inauguration is weak, then the fact that she is an elf will not matter. And will she be able to become a revered disciple of the Archmage with such magic? Because everyone will doubt the judgment of the Great Master. It would be good if Harch became a student on his recommendation, and this is not so bad, because a blow to the reputation of the Great Master is the best option. The woman insists she can't wait for people to see this girl's true face, after which the man tells her not to worry, because everything will work out. Harch then asks what if she uses another trick like she's tired of it, but the man says that it's impossible during the mana assessment, and the woman asks if she'll be able to finish off this girl once she's kicked out of edifies. To which the director tells her to do whatever she wants, and then the lady with black hair says that she can't wait for the inauguration, and that this little girl can already be considered dead. At this time, the main character turns to the brunette and asks if this will have a bad effect on him and if people will find out that she has little mana. The girl also says that maybe she just has to. However, the man cuts her off and tells her not to worry. After all, he has a plan. That same evening, the girl lies dejectedly on the bed. The dragon then addresses her, and he says that he didn't call her anymore so she can get up. However, if she cuts the flow of mana again, he will punish her. The young lady claims that this is not why she is sad. The dragon asks why, to which the girl replies that she was told that Harch possesses many types of magic, and she's also sure they'll compare her to her at the inauguration. The girl also asks what if the Archmage's reputation suffers because of her. Well, the dragon just says with a stony face, "What a pity this is." After which the young lady asks if he can at least pretend that he cares. So Achim asks if worrying about this will change anything. The girl replies that no, and she can't change the mana she was born with. After which he asks why she is still angry, and he also says that they have a mission. And in the end, their main goal is to collect all the Laksheti, so it's time to use its power. The main character then asks if he means the Lachey's power. He says they need to finish everything before the other two leave after the ceremony. So the young lady then asks what if she doesn't return to normal by then. He replies that he said she would recover quickly after short-term use. The girl wonders why they shouldn't exhaust the drag when they're both in the same room, but the dragon says she needs to be sure who's crying. And also, in addition, it could be one of them or an object that they are holding, and if the lady makes a mistake, the Lachey will run away. The dragon also claims that he heard that she is completely free after the inauguration, and that now is an excellent time, and it is also nighttime, and she will be able to quickly recover. The main character then says that she understands, and then the dragon suggests to begin. The young lady realizes that Akim's chant is similar to a song. after which the girl also realizes that it has stopped. And the dragon tells her to open her eyes, after which the young lady does so but is very surprised. After all, she sees huge piles of books in front of her. The dragon then says it's not the time to stare and let her search for information on this harch. But the girl asks how she can do this, since there are so many books there. Then she notices a book about the moon and a secret cage, and realizes that this is the power of the map called the world. And this isn't just a memory from the past. But the young lady also wonders how to get the book out. Afterward, it begins to glow, and the girl realizes she has all the knowledge of history and much more at her fingertips. Remillion is then surprised, as the book lands right in her hands. She then opens it and reads about magic possessing multiple subtypes. But then she also sees a line about Duke Taibog's human experiment, and then it's all true, because now she remembers. But at that very moment, the dragon turns to the person and states that it is time for them to finish, after which she asks if the time has already come. To which he replies that yes, and a little more, and she will show up at the inauguration out of her mind. After they return to reality, the dragon tells her to tell him where the lachey is. But the young lady, with a smile on her face, asks if he's talking about lachey. He replies yes, and wonders what's wrong with her pronunciation. And is she really mentally retarded? And he's heard that young people have a basic vocabulary. Well, at that very moment, the main character grabs the dragon by the cheeks and pulls him, and also says how stretchy he is. Achim tells her to stop because it hurts, but the girl just presses his cheeks. The dragon then transforms and addresses the man, and claims that he told him to stop, and he wonders if her mental age is now less than 8. The guy also says that no matter how old she is now, she must respect him. Well, at that very moment, the young lady puts her hand to his cheek and says that he is so handsome. The guy is surprised by this, after which everyone moves away from him. The main character says that he blushed, and he screams that it is because she pinched him. The dragon also screams at her not to call him Achim, and the girl merely puffs out her cheeks, after which he cries out whether she knows how much older he is than her. Remillion, however, insists that she is an adult, but the guy cries out that if she were there, she would have followed the mission. Then he asks what she found out about Harch. The young lady then says that this girl is not a strong magician at all, and the guy asks if she has always mastered all these subtypes of magic, to which the young lady notes that everything is correct. And the dragon says that if she wasn't so strong initially, does that mean she got these powers with the help of the lachey? The young lady replies that no, she actually stole it, and that it must be the mage's superpower. The girl then tries to pronounce the mage's name, but fails, and the dragon asks if she's forgotten that name, to which the girl replies that she has. Meanwhile, Achim thinks that there isn't a single thought in that head. The girl claims she didn't see them clearly because Achim pulled them out too quickly. But the boy screams again for her to stop calling him Achim. After which, he also says that whoever they are, this poppy can be the one who is crying. The young man also asks if she knows where they might be, to which she replies that yes, and that they are near Karch. At that moment, the brunette throws her maid on the floor. Ita only asks her to forgive her, but the woman then asks why, and insists she did nothing. Ober then asks why the mistress is punishing her, but she only says that it's because of this brat that she's in a bad mood, so let the maid give her some fresh air. She also asks if Ober remembers, after which he begins to use his magic. The maid begs for mercy, but the woman asks why and if something is wrong. He also asks if she knows who else she hates, and they're pests who don't know their place. This jerk is a perfect example, and she tries to hide behind the great master's back, and so how could she not get angry? The maid, meanwhile, tries to get up from the floor and addresses Lady Harch. But Lady Harch only says how she'd like to grind her into dust, and if only this brat could see how powerful she is, after which she wonders if Ober agrees. And he turns to her again, and the girl at this time understands that after her parents plunged into eternal sleep, she was given into the care of the Duke. The Duke noticed that she had abilities in many types of magic, and therefore his offer to shelter her was completely innocent. The man then said that he hoped they would get along, to which the girl replied that they would, and soon she learned his true intentions. Various scientists conducted experiments, and one of them asked if there was not enough red liquid, to which another replied that they would try again with different values. The Duke then turned to them and told them to use anything they could to make it work, to which they agreed. the maid realized he wanted to turn his ordinary daughter into a magical genius, and thus the Duke was conducting secret experiments on humans, transplanting mana potential. Ober, I liked all of this because these experiments were very painful. The girl then asked the scientist not to do it. Well, he just told her to pray for it to work out. The red liquid and mana were extracted again and again, and this experiment and this torture continued. Her body became covered in numerous wounds, cuts, and scars. And one day, a golden glow appeared on the ceiling. It was soft and so dazzling and shiny. The girl felt as if this light emanated from God himself, and from that moment, she began to pray. She also understood that it didn't matter whether it was God or the devil, but she wanted this experiment to end. Soon after, Harch acquired her ability to master various forms of magic. However, God played a cruel joke. Although the girl escaped endless torture, she could not escape Harch. They feared that her power might return to her, so they kept her as Harch's servant. Harch then said that she was no longer Petunia, and from that day on, her name was Ober. Because she's nothing more than trash, and she asked the girl if she thought it was right for her. Now the black-haired lady asks her name, then tells the girl to answer, or has she forgotten her own? The maid is about to reply that her name is Petunia, after which the woman only gets angry and the girl understands that if she could pray to the other world again, she would ask him to hide her where no one would find her. At this time, Harch asks what the maid said about her, but she only claims that she is trash and her name is Ober. A little while later, the main character opens her eyes and the dragon asks if she is awake. Vermilion then asks why she was lying on his arm, and he asks if it's true that she doesn't remember. After which he tells her to remember this night, and the main character remembers how she called him grandfather. After which, the blanket pushes him away and the dragon says that it looks like she remembered. The lady with pink hair at this time turns to Lady Vermilion and says that it is time for her to go. The girl then wishes Quair good morning and only says that she is pleased to see the lady so energetic. She also asks why the lady's eyes are so swollen, and she asks if she is talking about the eyes. After which she remembers the previous night and asks the Lord to allow her to forget all of this. Then the young lady also throws a pillow, causing the maid to be surprised and ask the lady what happened. A short time later, Inauguration Day finally arrived. Despite receiving data on the Lachey, they were unable to get it, but now there is something more important than that. After all, the ceremony is about to begin. Meanwhile, the dragon asks the young lady if she's nervous, to which she replies that of course she is, understanding that there will be a banquet after the ceremony. The dragon then says it's clear and asks if the Archmage told her not to worry. The girl replies that he did, but that doesn't make her feel any better. At this time, one of the servants extends his hands to the young lady and says that pets are prohibited, after which the girl hands over a dragon. But then someone says they can begin the inauguration. As the dragon is carried away, it turns to the young lady. But at that very moment, someone tells the lords to sit down and greet the Archmage's first apprentice, their honored guest named Vermilion, after which the young lady goes inside. And someone tells them to applaud her. People sitting in the stand say how cute this lady is, and someone else says that she is like a little fairy. Someone else says that she is quite young, and the director claims that it looks like he is seeing her for the first time. But he heard that this girl is only 8 years old, and in his opinion the Archmage was hasty, but nevertheless, if he simply needed an elf, then why make her his apprentice? Someone else is asking if this isn't because she has some kind of special magic, and now they'll see how impressive it is. After which, who says that one can begin to evaluate mana when touching a magic stone? It will change color depending on Vermilion's magical abilities, and the color will determine her strength. The main character at this time thinks that she just needs to hold on, because the Archmage is right, and worrying won't help, and there's no point in delaying when the truth is revealed. The young lady extends her hand and thinks she can do it, but then someone from the stands asks why she's not moving, and is something really wrong? And the director at this time understands that Cage made a mistake, because how could he even choose such a child? At this point, the brunette claims that the fun is starting, and that she will now be put in her place. And she turns to Ober and asks if it's true. Someone then says that she seems a little nervous. At this time, the main character thinks that this is bad, and does not understand why she cannot do it. But then she also remembers how the dragon turned to her and told her not to forget who he is, because he is an all-powerful dragon and no matter what she faces, she doesn't need to worry when he's around, so let her not be afraid. At this point, the girl realizes that she trusts Ahti. After which he puts his hand on the ball and the people from the stands then ask in shock if he doesn't react. At this time, the girl, with tears in her eyes, thinks that she knew that this would happen, after which she realizes that they are doomed. At this time, someone tells everyone to calm down, and someone on the podium asks if her mother is really so meager that the stone couldn't recognize her, and how she was able to get into edifies at all. The director claims that the only thing that helped her was the fact that she is a rare elf. And then he also looks at the Archmage with a grin and claims that she must be very capable, because they don't take just anyone as a student. Someone then says that this girl should become an object of research and not a student. Hey brunette, after that the girl just smiles. At this time someone claims that Director Gerhardt will conduct a final check and they will continue testing. Afterwards, someone asks to clear the field for testing, and the young lady wonders if that's all. At that moment, someone announces that Director Gerhardt possesses a special magical subtype and will personally measure her mana. They want to be sure of Vermilion's qualifications. Meanwhile, the man greets the new student, and he says if she doesn't mind now. The main character is wondering what's going on, and the director is also shocked, wondering if it could really be Gerhardt's. He also doesn't understand what Cage is planning. At this time, Gerhardt tells the lady to give him her hand, but the girl tells him to wait, and then she claims that she understood what he was asking for but wonders if he could explain why. After which, the guy asks if she hasn't heard, because they are measuring her abilities, and if the girl is so scared by such a trifle, then she has no business in edifies. The young woman then says she's not scared and was simply curious, and that's all. After which the guy suggests they begin the inspection. The girl extends her hand and claims she was just about to. Gerhardt tells her to stand still and not move, which surprises the young lady. After which, light begins to surround them. The people are somewhat surprised by their duke, seeing glowing elements before them. He says this power is Vermilion's. The director is then shocked, wondering what kind of power it is. And after this, Gerhardt only laughs and cries out how Kajid could hide this miracle, and next time he must definitely tell him. The man then rises from his seat and tells Gerhardt that that's enough and let him announce the results, to which the man agrees, after which he claims that everyone present there witnessed the manifestation of a new magician of many powers. This girl has elemental magic, transformation magic, creation magic, primordial magic, and special magic. She can also manipulate all 5 subtypes, and Archmage Cage's apprentice, Rel Vermilion. At this point, the director cries out what Gerhardt is saying, and the guy claims that everything is as he said, because this young student has the potential to master all 5 types of magic. And she is also a mage of many powers, and this is an ability that no one in the history of Edifice had, so let them see the new student. At this time, the brunette rises from his seat, and then states that since his student successfully passed the test, then, from this moment on, no one dares doubt her abilities, and with that, the inauguration is over. Afterward, they congratulate the Great Master's first official student, and the host thanks everyone for coming. The main character then, shocked, asks if she really masters all 5 subtypes, and that can't be right. A short while later, someone offers their congratulations to the Great Master. He also claims that he always believed in the abilities of young Vermilion. The man then thanks her for the kind words, and one of his interlocutors says that the almighty Archmage made a wise choice. At this time, the director is thinking how two-faced this all is, but then someone turns to him and asks if something is really wrong, after which he apologizes. He also claims he was simply overwhelmed by this joyful day, and, for a moment, was lost in the clouds. Bruno then says he's glad to hear it, but the man, clenching his fist behind his back, mentally says that Cage doesn't think this will be the end of it, and they'll see how long he can continue this farce. At this time, the Archmage asks where Vermilion is, to which someone replies that she went to bed, and the man asks if she has already left, to which another interlocutor claims that it seems such stress has tired her out. Meanwhile, the main character is heading somewhere with Achim. He asks her if she's sure they're going the right way, to which she also asks if he doesn't believe her. The dragon claims he was just trying to tell her he felt he was heading in that direction, but he wonders why she left in the middle of the party. The main character tells him that perhaps she wanted to take a break. The dragon then asks what if she's with someone, but the girl asks if it matters since their memories will be erased anyway. After which the dragon claims that their memory will be erased, but the power of the continuum manifests itself when they are extracted, crying in how the girl thinks how this will affect a large number of people at the same time. The girl then says that if one person's memory isn't erased, it will cause a new rift. And the dragon replies that this is true because she must lure her to some secluded place. At this time, the lady with black hair says that this is impossible and asks if this brat really has several abilities, and the great master knew this, after which she also wonders what if she really can't become a student, and whether she should put this girl into eternal sleep. She also turns to her maid and asks what she thinks, but she replies that she is not sure that she needs to be put into eternal sleep. After this, the woman only screams for the girl to close her mouth, and she seems to understand something, after which she asks for forgiveness. And Harch cries out that no one can surpass her talent. The maid, meanwhile, thinks that this is wrong, because her mistress is furious. And what if she wants to take absolutely everything from her mother, down to the last drop? What else will she have to endure? Petunia thinks that she barely had time to get used to life as her servant, and if this elf had not appeared, what would have happened to her now? After which the girl trembles in fear. But at that very moment, she begins to hear someone's voices. It turns out to be the main character, and she claims that she thinks it is there but the light is off. At this time, the brunette claims that this voice is familiar and asks why she is talking to herself. The main character insists she'll go first and grab her, and the brunette asks what the girl is planning to do. Harsh then turns to Ober and tells her to open the door, to which she agrees. And when she does this, the main character immediately jumps on her. She also screams, begging for forgiveness. She also claims that she needs to check something, after which they both fall to the floor. And Harch asks if this is really a Delphic spawn, but that's great, because she just wanted to scold her and she appeared herself, so let her get ready. But suddenly the girl's strength disappears, and she is shocked, and wonders if she really can't move. The woman looks at the lizard and thinks, could it really be she who did this, and now she can even fly? At this point, the main character turns to Achim and asks what he's doing. He tells her that she needs to seal Harch's powers first, but Ober merely throws the girl off and screams for her to get off. The main character asks her to wait, but the maid only addresses Lady Harch. The main character then grabs her hand and screams, addressing her as Petunia. She also claims that she remembers her, and that her name is Petunia. The girl then asks how she knows that name, and the dragon at this time turns to the young lady and says that finally, she has been waiting too long. The brunette only gets angry about this and claims that hearing this name coming from her mouth is simply disgusting. And the girl doesn't just need to be scolded, after which she uses her power and the dragon flies away and also claims that he has let down his guard. Harch uses his power and then approaches Vermilion and screams that it is all her fault because she told her to get out of her sight. At this time, the main character understands that if this magic hits her, it will be very bad. The dragon transforms into his human form, but still claims that he won't make it in time and screams for the girl to run. At that very moment, the young lady is grabbed by the maid, after which they both fall to the floor. Harch then asks in shock if it is really Ober, and the main character, surprised, calls out Petunia's name. She only turns to Lady Harch and asks to let Vermilion leave, because if they are careless, this situation could develop into a diplomatic problem for the kingdom. However, the brunette screams for the girl to shut her mouth, and how dare she order her around when she is a dirty piece of trash. But then she realizes that she is immobilized again, and the dragon claims that the only real Ober there is Harch. The main character then screams for Achim to act now, to which he replies that he understands, and the woman wonders if the lizard has really turned into a boy. The guy turns to the brunette and says he hopes she's prepared. Harch, meanwhile, thinks her attack was supposed to knock him out. But then the dragon begins to cast a spell, and the young lady says that it is time for Petunia to return, and she can be herself again. The girl then asks what she's talking about, and the young lady names the Hermit's card. Harch eventually became enraged and screamed that she couldn't go back. However, the man insisted that nothing could be done about it now. Despite the opposition of the elders, including Chauvel, her mother was appreciated, and the result was obvious. After all, she wasn't a mage of many powers, and the girl then screamed that this couldn't be, and she also wouldn't accept it. Harch was weaker than even a commoner from the street. And it happened because of that night, because they were able to get the Lachey. Because she sinned by claiming to be a mage of many powers. Harch is awaiting trial at the Ministry of Magic, and if the plot followed the original source, Petunia, unable to bear the torture any longer, would have fled the Duchy of Taibeog to join Edifies, and it all ends with Taibeog's family being destroyed due to complaints about their illegal magical experiments. If it weren't for Lachey, she wouldn't have had to endure all this. At this moment, someone addresses Lady Remillion, and he asks if something is bothering her, to which the girl replies that there is nothing and nothing. The Archmage tells his assistant to stop pestering his apprentice. But Vidian asks how Cage can say that. After all, yesterday the lady was so radiant, and he had to force himself not to run to her, and he asks if the gentleman knows how difficult it is. The main character then thanks the assistant, and he approaches the young lady and also claims that all this time he has been waiting to see Lady Remillion again. And she was great yesterday, so he is so glad that the girl became a student of the archipelago and is proud of her. Remillion knows she shouldn't be enjoying it at her age, but she still can't deny that it feels like an amusement park ride. The brunette watches all this and asks if it's really fun, to which the girl replies that it is, and the Archmage asks if he can do the same. The young lady is a little surprised. Vidian asks if the gentleman will really be having sex with the young lady, to which he replies that he will, and even better than him, after which the man takes the girl in his arms and the young lady thinks that this cannot be. The Archmage at this time claims that he will show her how unrivaled he is, and Vidian asks him to try not to hurt her, after which the brunette starts spinning very quickly and asks Remillion if it pleases her. The pink-haired man, meanwhile, insists that Lady Remillion might get sick, but when he looks at her face, he's shocked and wonders if she's enjoying this. The young lady, however, realizes that this time it's like being on a roller coaster. After which the brunette puts her on the floor and asks how she did it, to which the girl replies that it was so great. And the guy turns to the young lady and claims that no one in the entire history of Edivas has had such abilities as hers, and without a doubt she will have countless fans but also enemies. So if anyone tries to harm her, he'll deal with them, and the girl needn't worry about it. Meanwhile, the main character wonders how he, the Archmage's assistant, can trust her so much. He also says he will help her as much as he can. The girl realizes she's so touched by their words that they make her cry. It's not like he's her mother, because they just became master and apprentice. But she can't let them see her as a crybaby. Vidian, a little worried, turns to Lady Vidian. After which the girl thanks them with a smile on her face and promises to do everything in her power. The brunette then tells her to relax, because it will be enough to just try, and the young man with pink hair says that their Lady Remillion is so mature. At this time, the dragon is in the young lady's room and understands that with the Lachey's defense system, after the inauguration he had to immediately get it out so that it would not destroy itself and everything would go smoothly. If only he hadn't delayed extracting from Harch, they could have avoided that dangerous situation. So he just needed to stay in the spell even if he injured a person, and he didn't have to worry about their mortality. In the future, the Lacetti should be his main priority, so he does not understand why he behaved this way. The guy also remembers how the young lady screamed that she wanted a hand pillow, but he also screamed that no, and he didn't care how small she was. However, a little while later, the girl finally put him to bed, and he realized that he had been defeated. The young lady also turned to the dragon and said that he did not stink at all, but smelled good. After which Achim stroked the girl's head and spoke as if she needed to be told. The girl insisted that they had to save Obor and retrieve Lachette. A little while later, a young lady enters the room and says she's back. The girl also claims she wants to take him somewhere. The dragon then apologizes and says he's out, as he'd rather keep his distance. But the girl says that he must definitely go with her, after which she takes the dragon in her arms and he understands that she never listens to him. Then the main character approaches one of the doors and knocks on it, and when the man inside tells her to come in, she does so. And Petunia, shocked, asks if it really is Remillion. She also heard that Lady Harch was taken by the Ministry of Magic, and they even say that she committed fraud, after which the girl asks what happened. The main character then asks her to calm down and offers to sit down. Her interlocutor then asks what's wrong, and the blonde replies that Harch failed the mana assessment, and Petunia says that this can't be, and has her power really disappeared. The main character claims that this power returned to its rightful owner, as it was entirely Petunia's power. The girl also claims that the inauguration was an important event, and that such a lie about one's abilities is considered a crime. Well, then the girl asks how the young lady knew her name, and the main character realizes that she is caught. After which she claims that in Edify, where all the knowledge and powers of the Empire are stored, there is nothing that cannot be learned. The young lady also wonders what kind of terrible excuse this is, but the brown-haired woman says it's unbelievable. After which both the dragon and the main character are shocked and wonder if she really bought it. Vermilion then says that what is more important is that her powers have returned to her, and Harch will be judged according to the law, so she does not need to suffer anymore. Petunia then says that her head is a mess, and she doesn't even feel that her strength has returned. However, since she is no longer with Taibeog's family, she has nowhere to go, and she asks if her life can get better. The main character claims there is another way, to pass the assessment and join Edifies, and report everything that happened in the Tabeoga family to the Great Master. After all, this is a place where even Harch can't reach her. After which the young lady asks what the girl will say, and it is up to her to decide whether to join her or not. Petunia then takes the young lady's hand in hers and says that she thinks so. At this time, the director hits one of the servants in the face, after which he falls to the floor and asks for forgiveness. He also claims that he didn't think that this girl could master all 5 subtypes of magic. He asks again to forgive him, but the director only asks if he has seen glare lately. The servant then claims that, as far as he knows, he gave him a break after the duel, and asks if he is mistaken. But the director just grabs the servant and claims that if his exile to the vacation mines can be called a break, then he thinks it is him. The guy then wonders if the man is really talking about the Wakish mines, and they are known as places of exile for magicians. But the director tells the servant not to worry, because he has one last chance to correct his mistake and let him wait for further instructions. After which the guy thanks him. And the director understands that ever since the elf came to Edifies, strange things have started happening there. And although she could have become a mage of many powers, how could Harch have lost all her power down there? And is it even possible to simulate mastery of all subtypes of magic? After which the man claims that he knows that Vermilion is hiding something, and he will also expose her lies. Meanwhile, on another floor of the tower, something explodes, and one of the mages says that this can't be. Vidian asks at this time, why is it so hard to find something suitable? His interlocutor claims they're trying their best. The Archmage's assistant claims they need a magical conduit, which Lady Vermilion provides. The protagonist apologizes, and one of the mages says they tried all the available magical gems, but none were suitable. The brunette then says that means they only have one option left, and the girl asks which one it is. A little while later, she hears someone screaming that they can't. Vidian asks if the master is talking about a staff, and in their days, no one uses heavy staffs as guides. Therefore, it is better to take a ring or a necklace, and 100 years have passed since they switched to more tactful accessories. At this time, the main character understands that the magical conductors are made of precious magical stones. She was too poor to afford it, and even the process of creating it seems difficult. The guy with pink hair at this time claims that no one makes staffs now. After all, who in their time would keep it for themselves? After which the main character thinks that he is right. The Archmage asks if this means they should abandon the guide so the girl can't use higher magic. Vidian replies no, claiming that if he gives them a little more time, they can handle it. The brunette claims that Vermilion's mana has not yet been honed, and that the staff will allow her to control it better than any accessory. As for the craftsman, they could have asked Cian. The young man immediately asks with my hair if he's talking about the man from the kingdom of Gerbera. His master replies that this is Max, a creature who is very experienced in making staffs. Vidian says that although he made a great contribution to their creation, he was against the mass production of conductors. And isn't he on bad terms with Edifies? So he's not sure he'll agree. The pink-haired boy says he can conduct research and make it himself, but the brunette says that's not necessary. The main character then claims that she will ask him in her own name and not in the name of Edifius, after which the two are surprised, and the brunette turns to Remelian and claims that if he finds out that she is from Edife, then the staff will not be a problem, because she may have a not very pleasant experience. The young lady then tells the great master that everything is fine, and she has been through worse, and therefore does not think that he will try to put her into eternal sleep. She also has a goal that she must fulfill, and in her thoughts she adds that she needs to take revenge on Varys, and to give his mother happiness. Vidian then says that in his opinion, their lady is the sweetest in the world and it's not impossible to refuse such a face, although he still worries about it because during their last visit, he pelted one of their mages with manure. The young lady then asks in shock if this is really true, and the brunette replies that they can always hide her connection with Edifies. After which the girl says that it is not necessary and she does not want to lie, because even if he leaves her on the bridge, she will wash herself and try again. Then one of them says that their young lady is so brave, and the girl realizes that of course she would prefer that this did not happen. A little while later, the girl is already heading to the train, and her maid claims that she regrets it, that he won't be able to accompany the lady, after which the main character says that yes, but nothing can be done. The pink-haired lady also says it might be too late, but hands her a box and claims it's her gift in honor of her inauguration. Remelian thanks her and says Quair is so kind-hearted. The maid then asks if the girl is saying that she is kind-hearted, and that she doesn't have a heart, and that her internal circuitry was only supposed to resemble a human one. At this time, the main character asks if this is really possible, to which the girl replies that it is all thanks to the experienced magician who created her. The young lady also recalls Vidian reaching out to her and saying that he hoped she would become as close to a human as possible. The lady with pink hair then asked if it was because he wanted her to replace his sister, after which the guy smiled and said that it was nothing of the sort. After all, he knows that the girl cannot become his sister, and she is just a friend who is very similar to her. The robot then said that she was not his girlfriend, an automaton created to serve people, to which the guy replied that he knew. Well, he just hopes that she will start considering him her friend one day. Now the girl claims that's what he said, but she doesn't understand. The pink-haired boy is commenting on how heartless Quair is, but the archmage insists he expects too much from the automaton. The young lady then insists that now is not the time for idle chatter, as the train is about to depart, after which the girl sets off on her journey and says goodbye to everyone. Vidian, with tears in her eyes, remarks on how difficult this journey has been for their young lady, but the brunette tells him not to overreact, as Remelian is taking her first serious step. When the young lady is almost asleep, the dragon turns to her and the girl asks if they have already arrived, to which the dragon replies that that's not the case and that he can sense Lachey. The protagonist then asks if he can really sense him in that kingdom, after which she disembarks at the station and, in shock, wonders if she really needs to comb this entire place, after which she whispers to the dragon what it means, and he really can't tell which direction he's going in, to which he replies that he doesn't, and for now it's best to keep moving. The girl agrees and says she thinks so too. The dragon claims the black hair is quite nice, after which the girl asks if it's good camouflage magic. A little while later, the young lady enters a diner and states that she has a question. The boy then turns around and asks how he can help, but when he sees the little girl, he says she shouldn't be there. The dragon, meanwhile, insists he told her to keep moving and also told her they needed to go to the tavern. Remelian claims she heard something right. These are the best places to gossip, and the man asks who told her that. The little girl claims that, as a student of the magic faculty, she has a question. The stranger then asks if she is from the magic faculty, and he didn't even know that they take such young children, after which he asks what she wanted to know. The girl asks if he knows where the creator of the staffs lives, and the man wonders if she really means that old Xian. Other men also join in the conversation, and one of them asks if she is really looking for the hermit who lives in the forest, and this smelly old man. The girl then approaches them and asks if they know where he lives, to which one of them replies that he is in the autumn forest. He also used magic to prevent anyone from entering the forest, turning it into a labyrinth. The protagonist then realizes that's why she couldn't find the forest all day. And if Cyan doesn't allow anyone to enter, then no one will enter, after which she asks if they know when he visits the city. The man replies that the old man does not come there and only his student goes there, or rather the one who calls himself that. He wanders all over the city but always stops at the food market. Although he doesn't know how they make a living, the staffs don't bring in much money. He also claims the girl can take her coins back. But when he looks at the spot where she stood, he realizes the little one is already gone. Meanwhile, at the Geberga Kingdom branch in Edifice and the Central Academy, someone laughs and says that Chauvel has deflated. Another man claims that this is heaven for his ears, and by the way, they say that the disciple of the great master secretly penetrated their kingdom. Then the man also asks why he sent her, and the young man with blonde hair says that in that case, it must be for a meeting with old man Xian. His interlocutor then asks how he can be so sure, but he insists it's not yet time to begin learning magic. So the only reason she could go there was to meet this old moldy man. He also heard that this girl is special, but it seems that she has not yet found her guide. And since Chauvel couldn't do his job, he believes he needs help, so she won't get her staff. Someone asks if he should prepare the Academy's knights, but the man replies there's no reason to spill the red liquid. The man then agrees, but claims he's sure they sent her the Twilight Knights to escort her. The Twilight Knights are the people responsible for the military and intelligence activities of Edifice. Unlike ordinary research mages, they use a combination of magic and martial arts, and this group has colossal strength. After the discovery of this body-strengthening compound, all countries in the kingdom, including the Academy, created their own powerful classes of magic knights. But no one came close to the level of the Knights of Edifice, and although he does not treat Cage well, now's not the time to show your hand. Meanwhile, his interlocutor turns to the dean, but he claims that everything needs to be thought through, and if she came for this old man's staff before the magic training. This means that they encountered a problem and were unable to find a suitable conductor. This means that if she does not obtain this staff, she will only be able to use low-level magic. After all, even being a mage of many powers, she will remain a mediocre mage her entire life. And he asks if they should come up with something about this, after which, he also says that, of course, under the guise of what Chauvel did. After which, the dean tells him to send a secret message to the vacation mine immediately. There's nothing easier than exploiting a hidden grudge. At this time, the main character is in one of the houses, and the dragon asks if she is upset because she could not find this forest. The girl replies that she actually wore it, after which she shows the bracelet and asks how it is. But the dragon asks if he is too big for her, to which the girl replies that he is right. The girl asks the maid that same question when she received the gift, but the pink-haired lady insisted that it might not be suitable for Lady Remillion right now. However, unlike automatons, people continue to grow and develop, and in the future she will grow up for him, and on this day they will celebrate. The young lady then mentally thanks the girl, although she's not sure that day will ever come. At this point, the dragon asks what the lady is thinking about, after which she asks if he knows that even if they collect all the Lechetti, she continues to wonder if they can remain like this in 12 years, when fate has already been decided. And is it even possible to change it? But then the main character says it doesn't matter and suggests they go to bed. The dragon then asks what she was talking about, but the young lady replies that it was nothing and wishes him good night. The next morning, the girl is already heading through the market, but realizes that there are more people there today. Then she starts looking for a man with dark burgundy hair and black glasses, as well as pale white skin and dark pink eyes. The baby understands that he is quite peculiar, so it will be easy to notice him. But maybe today isn't that day. At that very moment, someone apologizes and asks the little girl to move away. The young lady then asks for forgiveness, but when she sees this man, she realizes that this is the guy she was looking for. At this time, he asks why it is so expensive, and the main character realizes that here it is. The girl realizes that this guy has dark burgundy hair, black glasses, dark pink eyes, and it must be him. At this time, the dragon asks the person if she is really going to just stand and stare, to which he replies that no, and that she also has a plan. The dragon says that if she just goes up to him, she'll be fine. But the girl immediately does just that, and asks if this guy is Master Xian's apprentice, the one who creates the staffs. After which, she also claims that she really wants the staff, and asks to allow them to meet. The girl also claims that she is a student at a magic school, but the guy just ignores her and then moves on. And he approaches the cellar, holding out the goods. The dragon insists that he knew this would happen. A little while later, the girl is already heading after this guy, and her friend asks if she is really going to push him. Because if so, then she should hide from sight and then sneak behind him to enter the forest. But the girl replies that no, and she is not going to do that, and will simply go ahead. At some point, the brunette turns around and asks why the girl is following him. But she replies that it's because he didn't answer her question, and he screams that he did it on purpose. And they also won't be able to make her a staff, so she should get lost. The main character asks why they can't, but he asks what he should answer her. Then the girl asks if he won't tell her, and he replies no. After which he tells her to get lost, he realizes the main character is more stubborn than she is. She then runs up to him again and tells him to wait, then asks if they use wood for staffs. The brunette is then silent for a while, and the girl asks if it doesn't rot and if they change it every few years, because in her opinion, this is a very painstaking task. And she also heard that it can bloom because it is wood. After which she wonders if this is true. But the guy just screams out what kind of outdated information she has, because no one makes wooden staffs anymore. And does she really think that a flower can grow from a dead tree? After all, it was a great discovery 250 years ago. The dragon at this time says that no one can resist correcting another person in the area in which he understands, and the main character thinks that this is excellent. After which, she thanks the guy for what he said and says that the students definitely know their business. The guy just says that if she understood everything, then let her leave, because his master hates sellers of magical goods. But the little girl claims that she is not there for this, and she came there because she really needs the staff. After this, the young man only smiles and says what kind of modern magician would want a staff as his guide. The little girl claims that she came because she can't use the accessories, and she's probably in complete despair. She also thinks that staves are very cool, and as he knows now, magical conductors do not allow more precise control of mana. The brunette only sighs after this and says that it's logical, since they've gotten smaller and won't be as effective. Vermilion thinks he's finally opened up, and the young man says that the staff is much stronger, and some say that they are not very mobile, but this is only the case when the orichalcum is not processed properly. The main character wonders what he's talking about, but thinks it's unimportant, and that she should just agree with him. The girl then says it's clear now, but she doesn't think she's remembered his name. The guy insists his name is Nathan. After which the young lady thinks that this is great, and she will just follow him, but the dragon suddenly claims that the man is crying and getting closer. He also knew that it was bound in some way, and had already told her that it would be someone or something connected to her. At first glance, it looks like an old forest, but around it is an incredible barrier. At this time, Nathan turns to the girl and asks if her name is Vermilion, to which the little girl replies that yes. And the young man extends his hand and also claims that this might scare her a little, so let her hold on. After which a house appears in front of them, and the young lady is surprised, and the dragon asks if this is really that boy's barrier. He also says that this is a very neat magic of emergence, so the girl then asks if creation magic is not used to make staves. At this time, Nathan apologizes to the young lady and asks if she was scared, to which the girl replies that no, and everything is fine. After which they go inside the house, and the guy says that everything is not right, after which he thinks where it went. He finally finds a book and claims he has it. But the main character is wondering where Mr. Shion is. The young man replies that he went off to train and won't be back anytime soon. And then the little girl asks who will make the wasps, to which the guy replies that of course he will, and if she doesn't like it, then she can leave. Vermilion says no, and everything is fine, and also thinks that beggars can't be choosers after all. After which the little girl asks if she can help her with something, for example, cleaning up, but the guy says that she should first bring her things in, because there is an empty room on the second floor, and let the girl use it. The basement houses the master's laboratory, a forbidden area. When they pass by, the dragon claims that, as he suspected, the man with the lachet is down there. The girl then whispers that it must have something to do with Mr. Sion, and the dragon claims that while this boy is making the staff, they'll find him crying. At the same moment, the young man enters the room and tells the girl to come down when she finishes, because there is something to do there. The young lady agrees, after which the guy leaves. A short time later, the girl picks up the stone, but it immediately explodes. The guy is then surprised and says he saw them split, but I've never seen them explode. The girl then claims that she did say they break, after which the brunette asks what kind of magic she has, since he can't sense her mana flow. The young lady claims that, frankly, she has all the subtypes. The guy is surprised and asks if she's really a multi-power mage, to which she replies that they said she has 5 types of magic. She realizes that sounds implausible, and the dragon at this time tells the man to wrap it up because they need to look for the lachey. At this point, the guy claims that he thinks he has found out everything he needs to know about her mother, and the girl asks if she can then return to the room. But the brunette then asks how she found out about this, after which, when assessing mana, and even if her mana is very weak, but elemental types as a rule, they are found in royalty or nobles, which is very unlikely unless it is part of edifice. After which the guy asks if Remillion sent Edife and tells her to answer. The girl understands that if she tells him some noble name, he would not guess. However, she also remembers how she promised the brunette that she would not lie, and claims that she is from edifice. A little while later, the girl is already on the street and asks if he just went and kicked them out. The dragon then asks if she can tell, but the girl talks about her bag, and at the same moment the guy says that here it is. After which he throws her, and the dragon, in shock, asks who this impudent little one is. The girl then says that at least they weren't pelted with manure. Then she screams. She says she won't leave until Nathan makes a staff. But the dragon insists it's pointless, and that it looks like the house has a soundproofing spell, so he most likely doesn't hear the young lady. The boy, meanwhile, remembers his master, and he says that even more people from Edifice have infiltrated today. Well, this time they sent a little girl, and the guy asks if they really thought that by sending a child they would get sympathy points. And after all that progress for which the master worked all his life, these people treated him like trash, and he will never let them back in because he knows he would have done the same. After which, the guy sits down on the stairs that lead to the basement and asks if he is wrong. And he also tells the master that this is why he doesn't want to be alone, and asks him to come sooner. At this time, the main character asks the dragon if this guy doesn't hear her at all, and wonders what if she is with them from the barrier, but Achim claims that he doubts that this will make him change his mind. But then the girl asks what they should do, and sighs, and thinks that it is useless. Then she starts hammering a nail into the ground, and the dragon asks if she really wants to hammer all day. The girl then cries out for him to help her. The dragon stings, claiming that if he could in this form, I would be happy to help, but if he transforms, it will be bad if passers-by notice him. The girl then says they're inside the barrier and no one will see them. Then the guy says what a damned man he is. They're already setting up the tent for the evening, and the young lady says that's it. The dragon, completely exhausted, says that if he had his strength, he could have done it in the blink of an eye. Remillion says that he was still impressively fast. After which, the girl also tells Achim to look at the sky and asks if it is ugly. And it may also be because they are in the forest, but the stars are visible as never before. The guy then claims that it is already so late, and the young lady turns to him and asks if Achim knows. That earlier Nathan looked more worried than hateful, and the girl asks what he thinks. Did Edify do something bad? The guy replies that maybe lachey could have influenced him as well. Rifts in the continuum throw everything out of balance, and what is troubling him now may be lachey. The young lady then says that everything is like with Petunia, and it's all her fault. After which the dragon tells the sinner that everything is exactly like that. He also asks if she has a plan for tomorrow, to which she replies that she does, and he asks if she's really planning to meet him face to face again. After that, the girl remains silent, and the dragon nods his head and says, "Of course," after which he suggests they sleep first. And when the young lady falls asleep, she thinks where she is, and whether this is really a dream. Then she also sees a boy approaching the teacher and asking when he can start making staffs. But the man tells him to hold his horses, as he's only just learned the basic theory. The girl then wonders if she's really inside Nathan's memories. He asks why he has to learn emergence magic. The man replies that the more he knows about magic, the broader his horizons. He'll also become even better and more skilled at crafting staffs. The girl then realizes that she knew about this and that Nathan too possesses many abilities. Then the guy says that he will try his best, to which the man replies that this is good. And let him remember the feeling of the objects around him, and then the shapeless objects will begin to take shape at the tips of his fingers. Creation is tangible, and arising is not tangible, so let it move slowly as if creating a wall. And he looks around at his surroundings, and as he does so, let him be more careful. The young man then steps on the bottle and starts to fall, but the man immediately grabs him, and he says he's always so clumsy, after which he asks if he has vision problems. The girl, meanwhile, wonders why she's being shown these memories. The boy then tells the teacher that everything is wrong and that he can see clearly. The main character wonders if this is a hint about the lâché. At this time, the man hands the boy a book and tells him to read it. After which, the young man says that his vision has worsened and apologizes for not telling him earlier. The main character then wonders if he's really crying, but he insists he promises to try even harder and asks her not to leave him. Remillion understands that no one would do something like that over such a trivial matter, and this guy is scared, so it seems he's been abandoned before. The man then turns to Nathan and claims he'll make him glasses. The young lady then thinks, thank goodness, Cyan seems like a kind person. Meanwhile, he insists that just because a guy has poor eyesight doesn't mean he's useless. Meanwhile, the main character wonders what's making Nathan so worried, and he does have Cyan. But then the girl suddenly sees some kind of fog, after which everyone opens their eyes. The dragon says it seems she had a strange dream, and the girl claims it involved Mr. Cyan and Nathan. The dragon wonders if this boy is with his master, and the girl claims that it was as if she looked into his memories and did not even use the power of the lâché, after which she wonders how this is possible. And the dragon claims that she is intertwined with the lâchés and that it is normal to have such dreams, and the girl asks if this means anything. What Lachette is holding could be the object that connects their memories. The guy replies that it might be, and the girl says they need to get it out quickly. Well, the guy then asks how they can get inside, after which the young lady comes out of the tent and says that they should go rescue Nathan. The dragon insists they need a plan first, but the girl cries out that there's no time for one. After which, she starts knocking on Nathan's door and screaming for him to open it. The dragon asks if she really thinks this will work, but at that very moment the door opens and the guy asks who she is. He also says that he received a letter this morning, and the girl asks what it is. Afterwards, he reads it, and the guy insists that she wasn't lying to him after all. The letter says that a little girl will come to him, and she's the Archmage's apprentice, so no matter how much she tries to talk her way out of it, they'll definitely drive her away. Then the girl realizes that everything smells somehow familiar, but the guy wonders why the letter warns him about her. The girl replies that Edifies is divided into different factions, and it's because of the current Archmage. Edify takes things in a different direction than its predecessors, and what it changes, this is what he wants, for staff making to be accepted again. And then the girl begins to dispel magic in her hair. She also claims that she is actually Remillion and the Archmage's apprentice, after which the guy asks if she says that she came there not only for the staff, but also to find the Archmage's opposition, to which the girl replies that everything is correct. She also thinks she's lucky with the letter, and is glad she told the boy the whole truth. The young man then says that's understandable, and he knew there was a new Archmage, but he didn't realize he was thinking like that. At this time, the girl thinks that although she did not expect such sabotage, she will need to inform the Great Master. The young man claims that the fact that he is ready to change policy does not mean that they will get along, and cooperation is still not being discussed. But the girl claims that she is obliged to receive the staff, to which Nathan replies that he cannot resolve this issue because the Master is not present now. However, custom-made staff for Remillion is a different matter. And the main character, with a smile on her face, asks if he will refuse her. And the guy asks if she is going to help him or not. If so, then let him bring everything he needs, to which the girl agrees. A little while later, she enters the city and says that this must be it. The dragon then turns to the man, but the girl tells him not to worry, because she will definitely get the lâché. But he insists that's not what he's talking about, and asks if she used a spell on the boy, to which she replies, of course not. Then the dragon asks if she really threatened him while he wasn't looking, to which she replies, as if she ever did. And so when the guy asks why he suddenly changed his attitude towards her, the girl replies that it is because he realized her true feelings. The dragon asks what she's talking about, and the girl claims that he can finally understand her and sometimes there's no reason to change your mind. After all, the heart knows what it wants. The dragon then says that wasting oxygen on such nonsense is strange and that people are incomprehensible to him. The girl then tells Mr. Dragon that everything is correct and that she is a very incomprehensible and complex person. But he only tells the girl to stop showing it to me, after which he is going to hit her, but the lady only says that it tickles her. At this time, someone turns to the young sorceress and says that this lizard is very familiar, so it must be her. The main character says that this is a man from the tavern, and he asks if she found that student, to which the girl replies that she did and thanks him. The man then asks what she's doing there, and the girl shows him her bag and claims she buys him things. Then the man asks if the guy was alone, to which the girl replies that he was, and it looks like his master went off to train, since he said he wouldn't be back anytime soon. After which the man also hands the young lady her coins and tells her to take them. The girl tells him to wait, because she doesn't need to pay them back. The man says he's not going to take money from a little girl for a question. Well, in return, let her do him a favor. Hey, little one asks what, and a little while later she returns to Nathan. He asks if she brought everything. To which she replies, of course, and it was a piece of cake. The guy then says that's excellent and she's done a good job, and then suggests they get started. He also claims that first they should forge the orichalcum anew, and let her try to hold each one, and then tell her which one she likes. The girl then turns to Mr. Nathan and asks when Mr. Xian will return. He replies that, as he already said, he doesn't know, but the girl claims that he said that he couldn't contact him, and is he even sure that he would turn away from anything? The young man then says that he doesn't know what she heard there, but the girl shouldn't believe it, and he also can't contact the master, because they had an argument before he left. The girl says she was given a letter he wrote before leaving, and maybe he could read it. Well, the guy tells the girl to throw him out, but the main character asks what he's talking about and that he wrote this letter from the bottom of his heart. However, the young man screams at her to shut up and asks what she knows, because he knows that the master did not describe such a thing, and he will never abandon him. But when the young lady takes the guy by the hand, he turns around and looks at her with tears in his eyes. The girl is a little surprised by this, and Nathan says that he doesn't care about the letter because he wants to hear it from his lips. And before leaving, the master said such nasty things. The boy then screamed that he would never go to the academy. But his master was interested in why he was so stubborn and why he had nothing more to learn there. The young man had only asked if the master was trying to disown him, after which the master merely told the young man to listen. And now the young man understands that he will apologize to him when he returns. He also recalls how the master said he couldn't always be by his side, but the young man simply cried out that he didn't want to hear it and then ran away. He didn't even look the master in the eye, and the main character now says that it means that he should read this letter even more, because it should contain everything that he wanted to tell him before leaving. Then the young man takes out the letter and reads it. It asks whether the boy has finally realized he can stand on his own 2 feet. He also felt bad about leaving so suddenly, so he hoped that he understood that he couldn't put it off any longer. In the basement, he will find all the necessary things, because he left them on the table, and besides this, he can take whatever he wants. After all, he is sure that this journey will be long, and he hopes that they will meet again someday. Now the young man is crying and turning to his master. At that very moment, an earthquake begins, and the dragon tells the man that this is bad because the lachey is going to explode, so they need to quickly go down to the basement. The young lady agrees, and Nathan asks where she's going. The dragon insists that when lachey explodes, it will fly apart again. But when they look at the basement, the dragon claims that if he cries and flies apart, the rift in the continuum will increase. But fortunately, it hasn't split yet, and the main character says that it means we need to extract it. Nathan asks in surprise what she is talking about, and the girl screams, which sometimes makes her apologize for it. After which, he goes into the basement, and the dragon says that this continuum is there. After which, the girl says that she understands, and the dragon claims that he will begin to cast a spell as soon as she opens this box. Nathan, looking at this, claims that this box was the master's most secret thing. The young lady then opens it and sees a strip of cloth inside. But the dragon insists that this isn't important now, and that she should quickly retrieve the lachet. The girl then says that it's good, and also thinks that all that comes to mind is stubborn and lonely. At this time, the guy asks why it is precisely a staff and claims that this cannot be. He also remembers how the teacher said that this was his new toy and he would receive it a little later. At this time, the girl says the word Hierophant, after which she sees how the card begins to take shape. She also thinks that thank God she made it in time. Any more and everything would have turned into a disaster. After which she apologizes and claims that next time she'll try faster. But at that very moment, Nathan falls to the floor and the young lady cries out to him in concern, and the dragon says that he lost consciousness and leaves the room, telling her not to worry. But since she took it out, this boy will now feel better. The boy recalls his past, where he asked the master what he was doing. But the master only asked if the boy was so blind that he couldn't see. The young man then told the master that he swears he can see, and that everything is only slightly blurry. He also wonders why this thing is in the box and wants to see, but the man insists it's a secret. And he will also show him when he finishes, but the guy claims that he wants to see now. After which the man said that instead he should allow himself to be shown something else. Then he hands him the glasses and tells him to take them. The young man is a little surprised, and the man wonders if he really intends to live the life of a blind person and let him try on these glasses. The young man then does so and says that everything is so precise, after which his master declares that he is glad he liked it. The young man then asks how he looks, to which the master replies that it suits him. Now the guy, with tears in his eyes, calls for the master in his sleep, and the dragon asks if he is really having a nightmare. The girl says that maybe this is a good dream, and the guy asks if she is sure because Nathan is crying. Their main character says that his dream could be about some happy moment, and although she's been playing the game for a long time, she still remembers characters who were mages of many powers. The dragon then says that, of course, they're quite rare, but the young lady claims that she does not remember Nathan there, and does not even remember a similar name, after which the dragon asks what she means. And the girl says that it seems to her that in the original, he waited for his master until the very end and never showed up on the street again. And if he hadn't cried, he would have remained hidden in this forest. The dragon then says that she is the reason for the appearance of the carriages, and she helped him spread his wings, to which the young lady replies that it is quite so, and the dragon says how shameless this is, after which he claims that people are something. The girl then asks what he means, and whether this is all because of honest people like her. Achim then tells her to dare to say that to herself. But the girl claims that this is true, and if they had not used her honest method, they would not have ended up in this forest. However, the dragon tells her not to deceive herself, because if it weren't for this letter, she wouldn't have had a chance. Well, the girl says they did it, and that's more important. However, the dragon tells her to wait, and he remembers the scent on that letter. The girl then asks what smell he is talking about, but at that very moment, Nathan wakes up and turns to vermilion. The girl immediately stops using her magic, after which the dragon falls and Nathan says that he thought he saw something flying. The girl then says that it's probably all his imagination, after which he says that it's probably so, and the young lady tells him not to worry about it. The dragon at this point only says that these are the mines, and that smell was from the mines. The main character then asks if he's really from there. The brunette insists that if it's the closest mine to them, it must be the vacation mines. And now he's thinking about this incident, because he never made anything up before. The girl then gets a little scared, but then takes the dragon in her arms and says that they like to play a game where she throws him up in the air. And the young man then says that he must have imagined it because he doesn't have glasses, and how cute it is because her lizard must love to play with her, after which the girl says, of course. A short time later, someone informed the Archmage about the vacation mines. A man named Glare left the mines without permission and sent this letter. They are still trying to figure out how he got it in the first place and are looking into the matter. Vidian asks why he's in vacation. The knight responds that he doesn't know the details, but isn't he Chevel's man? And perhaps they should summon him. However, the Archmage interrupts the guy and suggests that I hurry, since Glare couldn't act alone. The pink-haired boy says that this is true, and that the decision to prevent the archipelago student from getting her guide is a bold move. And even if he knows that he has a bad relationship with Vermilion and he could not do this alone, and besides, such sloppy work doesn't add up. Brunet insists that in any case, it's important that Vermilion isn't interfered with any further and that they all do their part. But the knight insists there's no need, since they're already making her staff. Vidian asks if she's already convinced that boy, and the knight claims that without using the power and strength of Edife, she managed to do everything herself. And although he can't divulge the details, the important thing is that it worked. Vidian says that if time allows, he thinks they should go and apologize to him. Cage agrees, after which he claims that now that this is over, all they need to do is deal with the traitors, so let them immediately go after Glare. A little while later, the newspaper wrote that one magician perfecting magic spent the last drop of his mana. To save a drowning child, he did so with a smile on his face. His name was not revealed, but it was the magician Cyan. The Twilight Knights reported that Cyan Kiliosanin had fallen into eternal sleep without regrets. And now his proud student named Nathan must break out of the cage of his mind. The girl then turns to the guy, and he says that he already knows that the master will never return. And while he was gone, he remembered their last conversation. This made him even more anxious and he didn't know what to do. It was then that he realized how dependent he was on the master, and that at one time he simply wanted to become a creator of staffs. The boy left the orphanage to become his apprentice, but over time he became like a father to him. The man gave him the love he never had, and even if he couldn't make a name for himself as a maker of staffs, he was content to continue living with it, because he believed they would always be together, but now he feels like he's become an orphan again, and he's asking what he should do now. And also whether he should enroll in the academy, as the master said. The girl then invites him to go with her and asks if he would like to join Edifies after training at the academy. The young man says that no one like him can just up and go there, but the girl asks if that is really true, and she claims that he was Master Xian's only student, so she invites him to go to Edifies together. After all, there the guy will be able to continue his master's work, but before that, the girl asks if he has cried enough. After all, now there is work that needs to be done, and she asks if he can make her a staff, after which the guy says that he definitely can and heads to the lab. The main character then looks at the staff the boy's master left him and wonders if he made this post specifically for him. The young man then replies that yes, and the main character asserts that then he should try it. After which the guy takes this staff in his hands and says that it is quite comfortable. At that very moment, the thing begins to glow, and the words, "Happy Birthday," are spoken from within. The girl realizes that it is Master Xian's voice, and the staff continues to say that this is his last gift. After which, the young man recalls telling the master that he didn't know staffs could be so powerful. The man then asked if this was true, and also claimed that this is how a well-made conductor should work. After which, the young man claimed that he remembered this clear light, and he would like to have one too. The man claimed he'd think about it once he mastered emergence magic. The boy wondered when that would be, to which he replied that he was sure that this would happen soon, and now the young man turns to Vermilion and says that they will make her staff. But he asks if she could first go to the optician, because although he seems to see, it will be a little difficult, and let her grab some more pure race and yellow leaves, to which the girl agrees and says she'll be back soon. Meanwhile, someone asks Cage what he'll do once he captures Glare. Vidian also says that someone is behind all this, and if they hurry, they won't get to the initiator. Not to mention, there's already a lot of internal power struggle going on there. But the man tells Vidian not to be afraid. After all, his strength lies in strategy. The guy with pink hair then says that's understandable and thinks how self-assured this gentleman is. At this time, someone else knocks on the door and tells the Great Master that Director Shuel has come to see him. The man then claims that he has urgent news, and the brunette replies that he understands, after which he asks him to tell him what happened. The director says that he knows that this is unexpected, but asks the master to listen. After which someone's voice is heard from the magic ball. He asks if he just needs to send a letter, and he replies that yes, and he can send it anonymously, because then they'll free him from the mines. The man realizes this is the conversation that caused Chauvel to fade into the background, and he shows exactly how Remillion was toyed with. Vidian asks what this all means, and the director claims that Glaire's behavior defiled Edifice, and in fear that the situation would escalate for the safety of Edifice, he sent him to the mines. However, since Glaire was his right hand, he was afraid that the guy would take revenge, because he was not happy with this situation. Well, who doesn't have a couple of skeletons in the closet? Hey, just to be on the safe side, he used magic to write everything down, and the one who started it all was Talus Ramtur from the Academy. The pink-haired guy then asks if he's the Academy Dean. He thought he was on Edifice's side, though. The director claims he was there during the previous archive. Yeah, that's what he means. After the deceased mage mysteriously fell into eternal sleep, a new one quickly took over. Vidian then turns to Chauvel in surprise, who apologizes for his speech and then claims that's all he wanted to say. And then he leaves. The pink-haired guy then turns to the Great Master and says that he shouldn't be trusted. After all, everyone knows that those who oppose Edifice love to reminisce about the late archipelago, and the brunette then says, "That's good." After which the pink-haired boy is surprised and asks what he's talking about, and the man claims that everything is going according to plan, after which Vidian asks if he really had a plan. Brunet claims that it wasn't really a plan, because he simply knew that Remillion would face this sooner or later. Something is wrong in Edifice, and they must figure out where it all went wrong. The guy with pink hair then asks if that means the staff wasn't his goal, to which he says that if she hadn't succeeded in her way, then he wouldn't have had to do it, he would have found a solution. But now that they have dirt on them, it's time to put an end to it. A short time later, someone claims they'll force him to confess to anything that in any way concerns Glaire. The Grand Master then tells the knight to leave this guy to him and then turns to Master Ramtur. He asks if he couldn't think of anything better to do than try to harm him. The dean then apologizes, but the brunette tells him not to be afraid, because he keeps his words and it's time to finish, so let him tell everything he knows. The blonde-haired man claims that the Tree of Life Alliance is falling apart, even in Edifice. Opposition to Edifice is growing, and he thinks Cage already knows it. There are two main forces on the continent, the supporters of Edifice, that is the Union of the Tree of Life, and the opposition, Ouroboros. The Tree of Life dominated the continent. However, when Cage became an archipelago, Edifice became unsettled. The man replies that he knows, but the dean insists no action has been taken yet. Cage claims that there must be some main goal that they are pursuing, and the guy with blonde hair says that he doesn't know the details. At this point, the brunette asks if he really decided to do this after hearing this question. He also says what an idiot the guy is, and he didn't come there to listen to such nonsense. And if that's all he wanted to say, then they can say goodbye. After which, Ramtur cries out to the Grand Master and claims he doesn't know the details, but the opposition unites Edifice. He plans something truly grandiose, and instead of official meetings, they meet privately to discuss everything, and he just follows orders. The guy also remembers how the man asked if they would invite those from the Empire, to which he replied, yes. And the man asked if they hadn't had a banquet yet. The dean insisted they probably wanted to celebrate with a twist. Now the brunette is wondering who the guy met back then, and he claims that this is a man from the imperial family of the Tree of Life, and also the great Duke of Kells. The brunette wonders if he is at odds with the Emperor, and the dean claims that, as the younger brother of Emperor Malgut, he was eyeing the throne for himself, and wants to stage a terrorist attack at the upcoming banquet for his student. A little while later, Nathan tells the young lady that everything is ready, and she claims that everything happened faster than she thought. The guy claims that all this is thanks to the master, and then the girl says that she will test this staff, to which he agrees, and the young lady takes the staff in her hands and uses it. The boy remembers how the master told him to remember this light. He then claims the girl used elemental magic, to which he replies that she does and knows a little about it. The dragon tells the man that this isn't bad. The young lady asks what Nathan thinks. He replies that it's wonderful and asks if the staves are amazing. The girl replies that they are, but wonders why he suddenly changed his mind about her, considering she's still part of Edifice. Nathan says that if he were a master craftsman, he wouldn't refuse anyone a staff. The young lady smiles and then offers to carry out his wishes. The girl also recalls the reversed Hierophant card, which describes challenge and rebellion. It symbolizes wisdom passed on to the next generation, and Nathan's story is just beginning. A little while later, the main character is already waiting for the guy and asks how long he'll be back. The dragon then tells her to be patient, as he has a lot of things. At this time, the young man looks at the teacher's basement with his things and says that he may not return, but until their next meeting, he will become a student who can be proud of. Afterwards, the guy goes outside and declares he's ready, and the main character then invites him to go. At this point, someone asks if the girl has to go to Edifies. After all, she is an imperial princess, and let her mean it, to which the young lady claims she understands. But she still wonders if she can't just be at the celebration. The man then says he needs to think about it. The servant claims that a banquet will follow the student's return from training, and rumor has it she's already returning, so a decision needs to be made quickly. After which the emperor says okay, the girl will go, and she, with a smile on her face, asks if it's true. After which she happily runs off and thanks her father. But he only sighs and asks how such a carefree child can rule an empire. He also turns to Kells and tells him to follow her. The man agrees and tells the emperor to trust him. Meanwhile, the girl runs to her maid and tells her she's allowed to. The maid is startled by this, and the blonde asks if she's scared. But this only implies that tomorrow's lesson will be about imperial discipline, to which the girl replies that if she doesn't answer, she's busy. The brunette then asks if the lady really loves Edifice so much, and she says that of course she dreams of becoming a student of the archipelago, but this ship has already sailed and he has acquired such a capable student. The maid then asks if the mistress is talking about that girl with many abilities, and she even wonders what it's like to have all 5 types. The blonde claims that she wants to meet this girl and she has so many questions. But then the maid tells Her Highness that there is a letter for her from her maternal grandfather, but the blonde tells the maid to simply read it and respond. But she asks if the princess shouldn't at least look at it. Her mistress says it's obvious what he wrote. Then thanks, Zella. The girl then closes the door and sighs, wondering why no one supports her dreams and understands her. Meanwhile, in the tower, Vidian addresses Nathan, and he says that he is glad to meet you and that the guy is a nice young man, after which he thanks him. The pink-haired boy asks who knew that her innocent face could throw manure, after which the boy asks for forgiveness for this. And Vidian claims that Lady Remillion said that with such impressive training, he could immediately begin work in Edifice. The guy then asks if this is true, to which his interlocutor replies that of course it is. As for the magic of emergence, he can learn it as he works. The young lady then tells Nathan that it's really cool, and Vidian says they're inseparable and they also make him jealous. The main character then tells Mr. Vidian that he's also a very close friend of hers. At this point, the brunette says that Remillion has made a good friend, after which he gets up from his seat and asserts that he thinks the guy will become a strong support for Edifies. And he seems trustworthy. The guy with pink hair then asks if he's serious and claims he has the same feeling. The tower master puts his hand on the boy's shoulder and says that Remillion is his apprentice, exclaiming that of course he respects Lady Remillion greatly. Meanwhile, the dragon says how poor this boy is. Vidian then states that now they must officially register Nathan, and he will take him for a short time, after which the guy nods and says that they will move on, and also thanks Mr. Vidian. When the young woman is alone with the brunette, he suggests they go for a walk, and the girl agrees. As they walk down the street, the girl tells him about the vessel, a crystal ball in which her mother is sealed. Cage claims that, unfortunately, there hasn't been much progress, and for the first time, the Twilight Knights are having trouble with the quest. The girl understands it's because the game still has 5 years to run, but she won't sit idly by, and he won't let Varys lay his hands on her mother. Meanwhile, the brunette says that, by the way, he's impressed with her results, and it seems he underestimated her. The girl is a little surprised after this and asks him what he's talking about, then claims it's all thanks to him and the information from the knights. After all, she succeeded because she knew the Archmage was protecting her. The man then says that's understandable, but then wonders why the girl calls him Archmage. The young lady then says that's because he is, but he insists that he is also her teacher, so if she doesn't mind, she can call him teacher. The girl then realizes that, as far as she knows, the emperor keeps his heirs in check. This is what magicians often do with their students, and in order for a poppy to strengthen his power, he can recruit many students so that they fight among themselves as if training a puppet. There was always a gap between the master and the student, but the girl says that she is a child and cannot call him that. The man then leans over to the young lady and tells her not to worry, and that if she's more comfortable, the technician will be fine. The young lady, shocked, then asks what he's doing. The man simply says he wants her to feel comfortable around him, and the girl then asks if she'll call him master. But the brunette replies that if she feels uncomfortable, he won't force her. He also looks at the lizard and says that she seems to be called Ahim. The dragon then, shocked, says that he must have realized who he is. The archmage then rises and says that it doesn't matter, since she's probably tired, so he suggests they go back. The main character then asks why he never asks her questions, and the man asks what she is talking about. And the girl says that she didn't even provide him with any evidence, but he always believes her. After this, the man strokes the girl's head and says that magicians are also people, and sometimes, without any reason, they can follow their hearts. And soon the girl will understand everything, and let her tell him about the rest when she is ready, to which her young lady agrees and also understands that it seems she has heard something similar before. A little while later, she is already sitting on the couch, and the dragon asks if they really don't know what to do. The girl then asks when she should tell the master about everything, but the dragon says she can't, unless she wants to cause new rifts. After which, the girl says that since there's no point in worrying, she thinks that's it. Achim then says that what's more important is whether she's afraid to meet the Elohis kingdom at the banquet. The girl then asks how he knew she didn't like them. The dragon then says they tried to put her into eternal sleep, and that their idiot king Varus is the one. The young lady insists that's logical. Well, there is nothing to worry about, because Elohis is against Ediphaeus and they will not take a step there. After which, the dragon says that this is good, and also claims that he admires her courage, even knowing that the girl will be erased in the end. But then he gets a little nervous and insists that, as he already said, as soon as the rift disappears. Well, the main character then asks if the dragon really has anything he wants to keep, to which he replies no, but the girl insists she does. And it's the one who sacrificed herself to truly love her. And although she shouldn't do this, she wants to. And the girl asks if he didn't say last time that he would look for a solution. The dragon claims he'll try, but he can't guarantee anything, and he can't tell if she's being optimistic or just careless. The girl says it's both, after which she picks up the dragon and asserts that she knows he can do it and believes in him. Achim is surprised by this and then says, okay. He then goes to bed, and the young lady bids him good night. The next morning, someone tells the guests that they can go straight to the second floor because the banquet is being held there. The young lady stands against the wall and says she's had enough, as she can barely move. Vidian thanks her for getting up so early in the morning to get ready, and the girl claims that it was a real battle, after which the archmage's assistant. He says the banquet has only just begun, and wonders how the lady will hold out until the end. The brunette insists he'll tell them to take it easy next time. He also extends his hands to the girl and says that since she only needs to show her face, then they'll pop in for a minute. The main character is then surprised and shocked, thinking about what's already happening. The pink-haired guy asks if they're really planning on going like that. Cage asks why not, and then suggests they go. The main character thinks it's because it's too embarrassing. A little while later, the doorman opens the door to the banquet room and announces that the great master and his student have arrived. After which, they tell everyone to stand up, and these two enter the room. Someone at the table then asks what this is, and he thought the man cared about her, but he didn't expect her to care so much. The brunette then asks what all the fuss is about, and the dragon claims that he thinks he knows why. Cage then thanks everyone who came and states that there will be a celebration tomorrow, so he asks them to relax and enjoy the banquet, and the main character thinks that she hopes that she will be able to relax. At that moment, the dragon addresses her and claims to sense Lachey's presence. The protagonist asks if he can sense him there, to which he replies that he certainly can. At this time, the brunette says that everyone can sit down, and the dragon insists that they need to hurry and find the Lachey. After which, the main character, shocked, asks if she's really supposed to find him in this crowd. The dragon says that's her job, so he wishes her luck. At that moment, someone turns to the Great Master and conveys their congratulations from the Malgut Empire. The dragon then says that he senses Lachey in this girl, and the main character asks if it's really this lady. At this time, the brunette thanks Princess Lenore for her visit, and Remillion wonders if this is really the princess. At this time, the girl, with sparkling eyes, asks if he remembered her name, and the dragon claims that something tells him that this girl is unbalanced. The girl then addresses Miss Student and declares that she's glad to meet her. The protagonist replies that the feeling is mutual. The blonde says she heard she has 5 abilities. Meanwhile, the Archmage turns to Remillion and tells her they need to go. The girl then agrees with the master, after which she also turns to the princess and apologizes and says that it is time for them to go. Well, then she wonders what it was, and whether the master deliberately ignored her. After which they leave and the young lady closes the door, while she is dining with the master. Then he asks if he knows Princess Lenore well, because it seems that this is the case. The man claims it's a long story, and she said her dream was to join Edifice. This caused a great uproar in the Empire and Hylamonica. Meanwhile, the dragon claims this girl is definitely strange, and the brunette says that whether it was her dream or not, he has no reason to turn away from Edifice, so he refused her. But the main character says that she still seems to have hope and wonders if she will ever be able to join Edifice. At this time, the dragon wonders why she is asking this, and whether she really wants a massacre. The brunette replies that he doesn't have it and that it's not with him, after which the main character says it's clear. A little while later, the main character suggests the dragon go get the Lachey, but he insists that they don't know what kind of guy she is. The girl says she thinks it's pretty obvious the princess will babble, and she's even sure of it. After all, this card is supposed to be a star, which signifies hope and purpose. The dragon claims that this is very plausible. However, there is a problem, and the girl asks what it is. After which he says that this girl has too strong a mental defense, and if a Lachey merges with a person, then a mental barrier appears. The young lady then suggests simply removing it, but the dragon claims that he cannot and that it is difficult. For example, there is a man with complexes about his appearance, and after taking Lachey, he became a handsome man. The girl is surprised after this and asks if Lachey is really having plastic surgery. But the dragon insists he's not finished yet, and the man becomes obsessed with his appearance and attempts to extract the Lachey promise failure. He then asks if she understands that his true desire was to finally love himself. When appearances failed, force followed, and when that failed, connections prevailed, crying filled with endless greed. And eventually, his true nature was revealed, and he was also extracted. He had experienced a lot during this time. The young lady then asks if this means that there must be another reason why she is so obsessed with Edifice. The dragon replies that they need to find out the reason in order to get through the reason, because then they will be able to extract the Lachey. A little while later, the blonde looks out the window and says the view is much better there than from the 67th floor. She then asks what it's like to see such breathtaking views every day. After which, she also asks if she can see the young lady's bedroom, to which she says she doesn't mind and asks if the lady likes Edifice. She replies that, of course, since it's the center of world power, and the youngest archmage is there. This place is also overflowing with powerful mages and magical innovations, and it even protects empires. The young lady realizes that she's a real fan, and she's seen this somewhere before. Then she realizes that this girl resembles her friend from a past life, because this girl is like a fan. The dragon at this time claims that she looks unbalanced, and he is sure that the crying had a big impact on her. After which the little girl claims that she was told that the princess was trying to join Edifice, and she wonders what prompted her to make such a decision. The princess then asks why she's asking. The girl replies that it's because she was even prepared to give up the throne, and there must be a reason for such a decisive action. She also realizes that she might be rushing things. The blonde insists that all that is in the past. After which, the main character apologizes and claims that she was just curious. The princess then says that she just likes Edifice, and she doesn't think there is anyone who wouldn't want to go there. And this is all she always thought so, and she hopes that someday he will understand it. After which the girl also says that in any case she will continue the excursion next time, and they'll see each other again. Meanwhile, the dragon insists that this girl is hiding something and doesn't care whether he sensed it either. A little while later, the young lady finds herself at a banquet but wonders why the party is so extravagant, and it is quite overwhelming. At this point, someone addresses Vermilion, and she greets Nathan. He then comments that she looks very beautiful, and she's the absolute star of the party. The young lady then says, "Oh well, and he looks so dressed up he's unrecognizable." The guy says that he just put on whatever they gave him, but then he says that first they need to greet each other properly. After which he bows and tells Lady Vermilion that he is a new recruit of Ediphaeus and asks to call him Nathan Sian Kiliosian. The young lady then turns to him and he only asks what she thinks of you since he has no family. He added the name of the master, and when registering, they required a full name. The main character then wonders if he really added a middle name in honor of his master. The boy simply says he hopes it suits him. Vermilion understands that, according to the original Gerberan law, he couldn't take his master's surname, and Nathan Kiliosenen's journey begins right now. After which the young lady says she likes him, and the guy thanks her. At that very moment, someone asks for his attention, and he claims the Archmage has arrived. The man enters the hall and tells Vermilion to come there. After which he thanks everyone who came there that day to congratulate his student Vermilion. Although he is sure that they already know her, they still offer to officially introduce her. The young lady then greets everyone and states that her name is Vermilion, and she is also impatient, but at that very moment an explosion occurs behind them and the main character is shocked and wonders what it is. After which the aristocrats run away and someone announces that everyone present should pay attention because they have captured Crown Princess Lenore. At this time, the main character is thinking about what to do, and everyone runs away in horror. But at that same moment, the man turns to Vermilion and tells her not to be afraid, and let him rest assured that everyone is safe there. The young lady realizes that everything has suddenly become quiet. After which, the man claims that, in order to identify the criminals, they deliberately allowed their invasion, and the Twilight Knights are already detaining those involved. The princess is also safe. After which, the man begins to use magic, and the main character thinks what he is doing, after which the smoke clears and the man claims that the party continues. Gerhau then just laughs and cries out that a lot of time has passed since the last such attack, and asks if this is true. Then someone claims that this isn't the first terrorist attack on Edifies. And someone else claims that, yes, this is no longer uncommon. And it also seems that their number has decreased recently. The girl then thinks that Hylamonics has long been known for its susceptibility to attacks from outside. Hey, the young lady thinks why they are so calm. At this time, the man turns to her and asks if the girl was scared of something, and she replies that she was a little scared. But she still thinks that she still has a long way to go before she gets used to living in Edify. After which the Archmage apologizes and claims that because of the attack, he was unable to devote time to her, but the girl says that everything is fine. After all, Edifies is an amazing place, and this minor incident is nothing. At that moment, someone approaches the master and claims the princess has escaped. The protagonist then asks if she really has, and the brunette says that it's clear and she planned everything, including even her kidnapping. The girl then asks if she planned all this and why she did it. The man replies that he has no idea, but they need to handle it quietly so as not to disturb the guests. He also says that Vermilion will stay there, to which the girl agrees and watches as the master leaves.